Joe say they're out of sync. The Hogs and John Riggins just can't seem to make the big play. For Riggins' heir, George Rogers, it's been frustrating too. The Redskins haven't been the same since last year's playoff loss to guess who? In that game, the intimidating Bears defense rocked Theismann with 7 sacks and rolled over the Redskins, all without starting quarterback Jim McMahon. The victory meant credibility, a coming of age for the Bears under young head coach Mike Ditka. This year, McMahon is back, and last Thursday, like Clark Kent, he stripped to his Superman suit and fired 3 touchdown passes in the second half to beat Minnesota. Can he do it again today? Can the Redskins avenge their playoff defeat? The answer and the rematch coming up. At Soldier Field, the Redskins and the Bears knock heads.
Against the Chicago Bears.
Live from Soldier Field alongside Lake Michigan, it is an idyllic early autumn afternoon for a game between the Redskins and the Bears. 66 degrees, winds from the south at 10 miles per hour. It is perfect. Hello, everybody. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris here at Soldier Field. And Johnny, we have one of the 2 unbeaten teams in the NFL, the Bears along with the Rams at 3-0. The Redskins struggling at 1-2, a surprise to their fans.
That's right. I was talking to Joe Gibbs yesterday. He said the last team he would choose to play with their situation now would be the Chicago Bears, who are 3-0. They now have offense to go along with their defense. They beat the Redskins in the playoffs last year, and the game has to be played at Soldier Field, so things do not look good for the Washington Redskins, but we're expecting a great football game. There's a lot of electricity here, and I think we're about ready for the kickoff, Tim.
Johnny, the Bears have won the toss, and they will receive. They'll defend to our left in their dark home jerseys. Jeff Hayes, who is also the punter, handles the kickoff duties for the Redskins. Number 5 will kick it off. The deep men for the Bears, Dennis Gentry, number 29, at the top of your screen, and speedster Willie Galt, number 83. Awaiting Hayes' kickoff at the goal line. So the Redskins trying to get well here, well in the standings, that is, with a turnaround from their start that could well have been an 0-3 start with a squeaky win over Houston. And a reverse right away to Wilbur Marshall from Willie Galt, and he is tripped up at the 15-yard line, so a little trickery by the Bears on the opening play of the game, but Stuart Anderson and Rafael Cherry are down there to prevent it from making a big gain. The Bears will bring out offensively their miracle worker of Thursday night last, Jim McMahon at quarterback, Walter Payton and Matt Suhey, the running backs, Willie Galt, Dennis McKinnon coming into his own at wide receiver. Andy Frederick will start for the injured Jimbo Colbert at left tackle, Bort Schogenberg, Tom Thayer for the injured Kurt Becker at right guard, Van Horn, and Emery Moorhead. So 2 key performers for the Bears offensive line out of action, at least for the start of this game. First down, just inside Chicago's 15-yard line. Suhey in motion. Pass was tipped by the linebacker, number 55, Kaufman, and intended for the wide receiver, Dennis McKinnon, on first down. So it is 2nd and 10 for Chicago.
So we're seeing the pattern right away. The Chicago Bears have really changed their offense. They're throwing more on first down as we look at the Redskins' defensive line.
A 4-man defensive line for the Redskins, like the Bears. Not too many teams in the league still using it. Mann, Butts, Grant, and Manley. Kaufman and Olkowitz and Millot are the linebackers. And the secondary, the speedy Darrell Green, Vernon Dean on the corners. Tony Peters and Curtis Jordan are the safeties. 2nd and 10, Chicago. They fake the pass, and they give to Payton. Payton in trouble, and McMahon threw a block on Darrell Grant, but Payton will still be dropped for a loss as the Redskins make another outstanding defensive play. Charles Mann made the tackle. And a loss of 2 results, so it is 3rd and 12.
You know, the Washington Redskins defense hasn't really played all that badly so far, even though they are 1-2. They rate statistically very well in the NFC, but the big thing is they haven't created the turnovers. As you know, Tim, they only have 1 interception and a total of 2 turnovers, so they're really -10 in that category, and they've always been great at turnovers.
Been a severe problem for them and a factor in their losing 2 of their first 3. 3rd and 12 for the Bears. A flag down. Rolling is McMahon. Upfield, a wobbly pass out of bounds. The intended receiver, Ken Marjoram, well covered, fell down out near the 40-yard line, but the pass was nowhere near him. So the Redskins stifle the Bears offense, but a flag on that third down play. Offside is the preliminary signal against Washington. Bob Frederick, our referee, with his first call of the afternoon.
Defense, offside, number 32. Third down will be replayed.
Vernon Dean, the right corner, coming up to blitz on the play, was offside. So the Bears get another breath. It is third down. And about 7 to go. The ball is at the 17-yard line. The Redskins have not run into penalty problems. Turnovers, as we have mentioned, have been their severe deficiency in the first 3 games. Cherry and Wilburn, the rookies, are in the backfield of the secondary of the Washington Redskins. 3 wide receivers for the Bears out of the shotgun. McMahon has time. Upfield for Marjoram. Can't hold on. A diving attempt by Ken Marjoram, number 82. Darrell Green had the coverage, but Marjoram could not hold on to the football, so the Bears will punt.
Well, that's what he's noted for, his great catches. He actually had the ball, but when he hit the turf, it bounced loose. As Jim McMahon noticed how thick he looks in the waist. That's not overweight, fans. That is the fact that he wears that heavy rib cage protector because he had that kidney injury last year. He also has the neck injury and has been banged around in his short NFL career.
Ken Jenkins awaiting the punt of Maury Buford. Buford, number 8 for the Bears, standing at the 4-yard line of Chicago. Jenkins, a former Detroit Lion, at the 45 of the Washington Redskins. Buford's wobbly punt comes up short. And Jenkins will let it bounce. It takes a Chicago bounce and rolls to the 41-yard line of the Redskins. So Washington will get their first offensive possession, a 42-yard punt by Buford. Joe Theismann will bring the Redskins out. John Riggins will start at the running back spot. The receivers are Monk and Muhammad. The tight ends Warren and Didier. Then across the front, Joe Jacoby, Russ Grimm, Rick Donnelly for the injured Jeff Bostic still in that role. R.C. Thielman gets the start today ahead of Ken Huff alongside Mark May. Thielman acquired from the Atlanta Falcons in the somewhat controversial deal for receiver Charlie Brown, making his first start today. First down, Redskins. Good field position. Out of the eye. Riggins met at the line, breaks a tackle, and carries Bears for a 6-yard pickup. Wilbur Marshall finally wrestled him down. And there is a sample of the strength of John Riggins. Defensively, the 4-man front for the Bears, Hartenstein, McMichael, Hampton, and Dent. Hampton coming off knee surgery and feels that he's almost there, but they still don't practice him every day in practice during the week. Wilson, Singletary, and Wilbur Marshall with Richardson and Frazier on the corner. Sean Gale for the injured Dave Dewerson with Gary Fensick at safety. Riggins again on 2nd and 5, picked up about 2. Richard Dent, number 95, tripped him up. So the Bears hurting a little bit. We gave you 2 offensive substitutions for them, and Sean Gale for the injured Dave Dewerson defensively. The Redskins are without linebacker Monty Coleman, a key figure in their nickel defense particularly. He's on injured reserve with a hamstring pull. And, of course, Ken Coffey and Jeff Bostic are still out with injury.
And the refrigerator man, 320-pound William Perry's in that defensive line now for the Bears. Let's see what the Redskins do on this third situation.
Quick pass is complete to the tight end Didier, and he has the first down for Washington. Gary Fensick made the tackle at the Bear 45-yard line. An 8-yard gain and a first down.
Good heads-up play by Theismann because the Bears came with the blitz. Singletary up the middle. Theismann with the quick pass out to Didier. Gary Fensick had to come over from his safety spot to make the tackle. A first down for the Redskins, who obviously are going to try and control this game on the ground, try and develop, even though they have rushed very well, or pretty well this year. They haven't come up with the big plays, but they're going to try and control the ball.
First down at the Bear 45, opening offensive possession for Washington. Riggins again, good hole, and he's met by the linebackers at the 42-yard line of the Bears. Cliff Thrift, number 52, acquired this year on waivers from the San Diego Chargers by the Bears, and Buddy Ryan, the defensive coordinator, likes what he's seen and has worked him into the defense. And that defense today includes 4 linebackers in some situations, as we just saw there. A little bit of a change for the Bears defensively. Joe Theismann 30,000 career passing yards in his 12th season in the NFL and making his 64th consecutive start. Riggins barrels for the first down. John Riggins with a big hole out the right side behind Thielman and May. Singletary and Fensick for the Bears. 50 and 45 made the tackle.
Good heads-up running by Riggins, number 44, as Otis Wilson, 55, blitzed from the outside. Riggins came inside the trap. The trap went on the linebacker, and Riggins just muscled his way through. He told Coach Gibbs this week he wants to play a little bit more. As you know, he's been splitting the duty with George Rogers, and Riggins there with a nice individual effort. He's over 10,000 yards rushing, 5th on the all-time list. And let me tell you something. When you're 36 years old, running in the National Football League still, you got to be some kind of runner.
And he's off to a good start, averaging 4 yards a carry. Singletary injured on the play. We'll be back in a moment. A scoreless football game at Chicago. Ryan with Johnny Morris at Soldier Field. You're looking at Mike Singletary, one of the top linebackers in football, injured on the last play, replaced by second-year man Ron Rivera. And the Bears continue to go with 4 linebackers. They have 4 down linemen. They've also made a change there with McMichael playing on the left defensive end and William Perry, the rookie from Clemson, at the right tackle spot with Hartenstein out. So quite a few shuffles here by the Bears defensively. The Redskins offensively have the football, and rolling out to his right is Theismann. He is dropped just over the line of scrimmage by Richard Dent. And that might have been a broken play. It looked like there was a little hesitation at the start here.
And watch 95, Richard Dent. He comes from the other side of the line here, just comes right down the line, and he takes a shot at Joe Theismann as there was a little bit of a mix-up. Theismann senses him coming and dips under just before the hit. And that's one thing that Joe Theismann is so good at. He's so good at many things, but he knows how to avoid that big hit.
No gain on the play, however. 2nd and 10. You actually saw John Riggins throw a block. Singletary is back in for the Bears. Here's Riggins, the runner. Non-Pere for his size and age. He gets to the 31-yard line. Steve McMichael, number 76, and Gary Fensick, number 45, combine on the big man.
And did you see who hit him? William Perry, 320 pounds, hit Riggins, and Riggins bounced off it and got an extra 2 or 3 yards. So I'd say Riggins still has a little power. There he is, the refrigerator man.
3rd down play for the Redskins, and they send in Keith Griffin and the 3rd receiver, Gary Clark. Clark, 84, Griffin, the running back, number 35. Clark in motion. Up the middle, wide open, the tight end. That's Didier for another Washington first down to the 21-yard line with Fensick making the tackle for Chicago. Clint Didier, the former pass-catching mate of Neil Lomax at Portland State.
And the key here was the man in motion. Gary Clark went outside. Didier waited for him to clear outside, and then Didier came up over the middle, and it was Gary Fensick, 45, who had to make the tackle. Clint Didier, who catches a touchdown almost every 4 catches, so you'd have to say he's a clutch receiver. Good speed for basically a tight end.
First down, Washington threatening here in the first period. 8:30 to play. Their first offensive possession. Good protection for Theismann in the corner, and it is incomplete. Intended for Kelvin Muhammad, number 89, right at the goal line. On the coverage was Mike Richardson, number 27. Theismann 2 out of 3 passing, and this one was nearly perfect.
One-on-one, he just put it up and let the 2 guys go after it, and Muhammad almost made a circus catch here. He's got the outside position on Richardson, came down. I don't think he would have had both feet in it had he hung on to the ball. So the Redskins still on the move.
It was a long afternoon for Muhammad last week.
Oh,
he did not catch a pass. He had a couple of drops. He ran a couple of long routes. Believe me, he wants to have a big day today. Riggins over the 20-yard line to the 19. Gained about 2 yards. It'll leave 3rd and 8 for the Redskins.
And you know, they're not always using the one back. That time they have Warren in the backfield. As you look at Joe Gibbs, who is a little bit frustrated, but he says, we're not going to change everything just because we're starting off 1 and 2. He said, we started off 0-2 last year. We had 0-5 one year. He says, we've just been analyzing it, and we're going with Joe Theismann. He's passed for over 30,000 yards. He's done a lot of great things for us, and he says, we'll get it all together.
Theismann brings him out on 3rd and 9. Griffin is the running back, and Dan Hampton, a little wild anticipation, leaped into the Washington backfield. And as far as we could see, was not drawn over. Let's wait for the call. Referee Bob Frederick discussing it with his officials. Was there movement on the part of a Redskin?
Encroachment on the defense, number 99. Third down.
There was not.
Well, you had to figure that was the call because nobody else came across or moved at all except Hampton. And boy, he was the first one back there, wasn't he?
There was an inviting hole for him there. He was going to make sure he got into it. So it is third down and about 4 yards, a long 3. Keys has come in on the front, number 98. Gale and Phillips have come into the Bears secondary, 23 and 48. Theismann to pass. Has time. Complete. Good catch in traffic with the coverage by Phillips. And another Redskin first down. They're at the 7-yard line. It was Gary Clark, the rookie from the USFL out of James Madison.
Good pass protection for Theismann, who waited for Clark to come right across the middle. He only had a step on Phillips, but Theismann put it right there for the first down. Key play by Joe Theismann, who, as you know, is off to his slowest start. He's only completed 49% of his passes, but boy, he was all confidence yesterday. It's hard to knock Joe Theismann's confidence.
First and goal, Washington, their opening offensive possession. Reagan stacked up and dropped for a loss. He might have got over the line of scrimmage with forward progress. Singletary and Hampton putting the stop on Big John Riggins. And they spotted at the 7-yard line. It'll be second and goal. And there is Mike Ditka, who can harken back to the victory a year ago over Washington, but also knowing that the next week he was beaten by San Francisco. The goal is the Super Bowl for both of these coaches. And this is the rematch of that playoff game last year. Riggins with a big hole, touchdown. John Riggins had all kinds of room to ramble out the right side. Over the right tackle position, Mark May. Thielman, number 69, the left guard.
In fact, he had a personal convoy there. As you can see, the block trap outside, and he just followed his blockers in there. And you can see number 68, Russ Grimm, with the key block on Fensick, and Riggins goes in for the touchdown. You talk about the way the Hogs play. That's the way they play. They block, and they run, and Riggins motors behind them.
The point after by Mark Mosley is good, and so the Redskins march down the field starting from their own 41-yard line and have taken a 7-0 lead.
Okay, you talk about offensive line blocking from the offside. This is Grimm and Jacoby right here, both pulling from the left to the right through a gaping hole. Good block by Didier to keep Otis Wilson out of there, and then Riggins just follows through, and it was a huge, huge hole. Watch it. 68 and 66, the good block there by Didier, and in they go, 2 blocks, Jacoby and Grimm, and it was a touchdown. That's the way the Redskins do it.
All right, and Willie Dahl had trouble in the sun with that ball coming down. It went through the end zone, probably would not have brought it out anyway. Jeff Hayes' kickoff, landing about 2 yards deep, and Galt looking up, clearly lost it in the sun. So the Bears will start for their second offensive possession from the 20-yard line. The Redskins going 59 yards in 13 plays, an impressive opening drive, using up 7:24 on the clock. Now the Bears have had quite a string of games in which they have had the possession. 27 consecutive games they have had the ball more than their opponent. But the Redskins have chipped away a good chunk here in the first period. 6 minutes remaining first quarter. Payton, the lone setback, now Suey in motion. Payton gets away from one tackler, but is dropped for a loss. And it was Darrell Green coming up from the corner to make the tackle. The pressure came from Butts and Manley on the initial charge by Payton straight ahead. So the fired up Redskins, now the defense doing the job.
Yes, it was really Dexter Manley, number 72, who got across and forced Payton to go wide. And Manley's the man who spoke a little bit out there earlier this week about knocking Payton out of the game. He got a lot of flack from that, and the Chicago Bears have kind of jumped on that as their psychological advantage.
Loss of a yard on the play, 2nd and 11. Straight drop from McMahon. Intended for Suey, incomplete, and it's intercepted rather by Curtis Jordan. Jordan brings it back. Jordan, flag down, got to the 25-yard line. And Suey in a lot of traffic there, Johnny, as McMahon let it fly, and Curtis Jordan just had a freebie. He just waited for the ball to come down to him.
That's right. He was playing in deep center field, and that penalty is going to be after the change of possession. And it's going to be Washington's ball. Curtis Jordan just played way out in center field, and I think the mistake here that Jim McMahon made was watching his receiver all the way.
Personal foul, clip on the return, number 75, and it will be a first down and 10.
We'll see it again.
Now you can watch Curtis Jordan. He's dropping way back. See, McMahon is watching Matsui all the way. His head is looking straight down the middle of the field, and Suey runs right into all the coverage. Look at all those Redskins, and Curtis Jordan had a gimme, and he took it back. Washington has the ball and a chance to go up by 2 touchdowns, and that's a key for the Redskins. They are a much better football team, wouldn't you agree, Tim, when they're ahead, when they can get on top of you. They're not as good from coming from behind. Curtis Jordan, second interception of the season for the team, his first of the year.
Well, the way their defense has stopped the Bears, I would agree with you totally if they can continue that. Riggins on first down, picked up about a yard, tripped up by Singletary. Jordan's 18-yard return of the interception nullified by the clipping penalty against Dave Butts, but nonetheless the possession in Bears territory at the 42. No gain on that play, as we see Jim McMahon got to be talking to himself about why he released that ball into a bevy of Redskins. And the opportunity for Curtis Jordan to come up with the pickoff. Second and 10. See whether that information holds up on this series. What a catch by Monk. He dropped the ball, and it is ruled incomplete. Marshall picked it up. The crowd here thinking that it should have been a reception and a fumble recovery by Wilbur Marshall. Leslie Frazier put the hit on Art Monk, and it is ruled incomplete. A circus try by Monk. Had the ball in the air, but didn't have it when he came down to the ground. And an injured player for the Redskins is number 69, R.C. Thielman.
Okay, and that is the key as to whether Monk, as you'll notice, Theismann kind of throws into the coverage. A linebacker almost tips it. He makes a super grab, and then there's the contact. And when he comes down, boom, the ball is jolted loose. I'd have to say that it's a correct call by the officials.
4:26 remaining first period. The Redskins 7, the Bears nothing. There's R.C. Thielman, the former Pro Bowler acquired from the Atlanta Falcons, off with an injury. Ken Huff has come in to replace him. 3rd and 10. Theismann under pressure. Finds some room and hits his man. It'll be close to the first down. That is Gary Clark, the rookie wide receiver, number 84. See where they mark it.
The Bears went with a normal 4-man rush that time, and that allows Theismann, he can a little time to survey the situation, runs out of the pocket, could have run up the field, but decided that Clark was deep enough that he thought he had the first down, but he's not quite there. It's going to be 4th and short as Leslie Frazier knocks Clark out of bounds. So here it comes, 4th and 1 at the 33-yard line.
Perry and Fripp and Rivera have all come in defensively for the Bears on 4th and short. Riggins with Wansley, and it's Riggins. Riggins off the left side is hit at the line of scrimmage. It'll be close. The forward progress may have him there. The crowd aroused on the hit by Marshall and Richardson, but will wait for the mark.
It's going to be very, very close. Riggins saw things jammed up and dipped to the outside. There were no blockers there. It was a case of 2 bodies against 1, and it's going to be very, very close.
Riggins has been bothered with a sore back and the flu and so on, and they're stopped short, it would appear, by just a few inches. So the Bears defense has held the Redskins. 4:12 to play, first period. It'll be Bears football when we return. They trail 7-0. A lift for the Bears offense from this group. The Bears defensive squad that just stopped Washington, 4th and short at Chicago's 32-yard line. First down, Bears. They trail 7-0. Payton and Suey are the running backs. A long count. Straight ahead is Matt Suey, picking up about 2. The center of that defensive front of Washington converging on the play. At the bottom of the stack, Dexter Manley, number 72. It'll be 2nd and about 8.
We have a full house here at Soldier Field, about 65,000 fans. The Bears' 9th straight sellout, but that pales in comparison to Washington. I think Washington has 143 straight sellouts. That's what you call support of your football team.
2nd down and 8. And they shift to the I formation. Balt out to the right, McKinnon to the left. They fake the pitch. Inside is Suey. Suey is straightened up by linebacker Rich Millot, number 57. And a little extracurricular activity involving Keith Van Horn of the Bears and Darrell Green of the Redskins. Slight physical mismatch. The officials are there quickly to break that up.
Actually, it was Dennis McKinnon and Darrell Green that kind of got into it, and then Keith Van Horn tried to be the peacemaker.
And New England in front of the Raiders, 10-7 in the first period of their game. Kansas City shutting out Seattle 14-0. Interesting score, first period. And the Vikings in front of Buffalo, 7-0. Tampa Bay in front of Detroit, 3-0. 3rd down, a long 4 for the Bears out of the shotgun, and they give it to Payton. Payton looked like he might throw. Now he's in traffic and will be short of the 1st down. Walter Payton had receivers downfield, and by the time that he decided to run with it, the Redskins reacted very well defensively. Curtis Jordan, number 22, putting the tackle on Payton, and Chicago will have to punt again.
You hit it right on the head, Tim, because that was the fake of the old Statue of Liberty. Payton was going to throw the ball to Kenny Marjoram down the field. Right there he was going to throw, and he saw that Marjoram was covered well by Wilburn, and then a whole bunch of Washington Redskins came in to put Payton down. The Bears punt.
Maury Buford standing at his 25. The Redskins thus far seem to be very well prepared for the Bears offense that has been shown, including 2 or 3 of the little trick type plays. Buford the punt. The deep man is Gary Clark. Signals fair catch at the 24-yard line of the Redskins. 38-yard punt by Buford, former San Diego Charger. And so the Redskins will have a pretty good field position to start. And I spent Thursday afternoon at the Redskins practice, Johnny, and everybody seemed to be looking for clues as to the mood, the attitude of the Redskins, struggling to a 1-2 start. They could have lost the game to Houston and been 0-3. They didn't play well in that game that they won. But really, there was an air of calm and confidence, and I think that's been exhibited here in the first quarter this afternoon. And anybody that was worried about Joe Theismann should be relieved. He threw the ball in practice as well as anybody can. Rogers in the lineup now. Out to Didier. Didier is tackled immediately by Sean Gale, number 23, but a gain of maybe 6 yards on the play for the Redskins. Theismann has been sharp in the opening going here.
With George Rogers in there, it was a simple play action, just a little handoff to kind of freeze people for a moment. Didier out there with Sean Gale on the coverage, just a simple stop like a hitch pass, and they get 5 yards, about 4 yards, 5 yards out of it, and the Redskins will always take that on 1st down if they can get it.
2nd and a long 4 for the Redskins. Ken Huff continues at right guard for Thielman. This is Rogers, big hole out the right side. Rogers all the way to the 40-yard line. They'll spot it at the 43 of the Bears, pushed out by Wilbur Marshall. And George Rogers, a 31-yard gain with a lot of running room out the right side.
And almost the same identical play. Watch the off lineman pull around, and the hole was so big, they sealed here, and Riggins just said, oh, God, big hole. I mean, I should say Rogers, and went to the outside. Beautiful offside line play. Russ Grimm and Joe Jacoby, 66 and 68 all around. They throw the key block, take Otis Wilson out of the play, and then Rogers takes it up the sidelines as the Redskins on the move again.
Well, this is something the Redskins have not been doing, even in Joe Gibbs' own words, making the big play. That was one there, and here's another. Rogers over the 30, gets by a tackler. Pulled down at the 15-yard line of Chicago by Sean Gale. 2 consecutive big runs for George Rogers. 1st down, Redskins, and an injured Bear player back at the line of scrimmage.
Well, basically what they did again was the same thing. Here comes Jacoby and Grimm. It was a counter play where Rogers jabbed, he stepped to the left. Otis Wilson was blocked, and Rogers, and Gary Finsick doesn't miss many tackles, but he did there as Rogers just kind of gave him the double footwork and went right on down the field. The Redskins on the move, whether it be Riggins or Rogers.
The first down will be at the 14-yard line. There are Rogers' numbers for this season, averaging 5.1. He and Riggins have had about equal time carrying the ball. Joe Gibbs told us that he would start Riggins, and then he would go with what he called the hot man, the hot hand. And right now, he's going to have to stick with Riggins with the Rogers for a while. Here is Otis Wilson, the injured Bear player, on that last play, being assisted off, but he looks like he's okay.
He's the man that's been coming across the line of scrimmage and taking the brunt of all those linemen coming his way. And I think the real key for the Redskins has been the counter, the jab step. That's always been in their repertoire, but it seems to be working particularly well against the Bears, who are aggressive on defense, and they'll charge with that first move. And if you get them charging half a step one way or just to hesitate, you know, that can really set up, and they have set up the same play 3 or 4 times.
Rivera has come in for Wilson, and they now have that 4 linebacker alignment that Buddy Ryan, their defensive coordinator, introduced this week in practice. Cliff Thrift with Singletary, Rivera, and Wilbur Marshall. The Redskins have an impressive record when they get out in front. The point you made earlier, Johnny, about they're harder to beat when you're coming from behind against them. They protect the leads well, and they have an opportunity again here. Rogers one more time. This time, Dan Hampton slashes through and drops him for a loss of about 6 yards. They'll spot it at the 19-yard line. We'll call it a 5-yard loss.
Okay, now what you have to watch here is Dan Hampton. He said he wasn't going to go for that counter, and he was going to come across the line of scrimmage and follow these linemen when they go this way so that he could get in the play. Now watch what he does. He's actually the man to the left there. Here he comes, 99. Comes through, decides to go where the pulling linemen go, and number 99, Dan Hampton, on the tackle.
It is 2nd and 14. Play action. The pass complete to Art Monk. Got maybe 4 yards back to the initial line of scrimmage. On the coverage, Mike Richardson, who put the hit on him immediately, number 27. Monk had a big day last week against the Eagles in the losing cause with 7 catches, and he's off to another fine start. Here's a man who broke my partner's heart last year as we come to the end of the quarter, as he broke the record Johnny Morris held for the NFC in receptions for a season. The new NFL leader at 106 for a season, Art Monk. We'll be right back. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris at Soldier Field in Chicago, where the Redskins are threatening again. 3rd down and 10 at the Bears' 14. Quick pass to the corner. Incomplete. Intended for Calvin Muhammad. Thrown a little high. The coverage was good by Frazier. And Theismann appeared to lob it up a little higher to give Muhammad some kind of chance at it, but he really didn't have much of an opportunity.
The Bears went into their famed 46 defense, which is named after a former player, Doug Plank, who was number 46. But with an odd alignment, and they just blitz linebackers, and Joe Theismann, and everybody knows that when that happens, you got to get rid of the ball quick, and that's what he had called. So he had the right play call, but it was well covered.
So the field goal try by Mosley from the 22-yard line, dead in front of the posts, and the Redskins extend their lead. A 32-yard field goal by the veteran Mark Mosley. We're just underway in the 2nd quarter. Washington 10, Chicago nothing. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back at Soldier Field, where Mark Mosley's 32-yard field goal has extended the Redskins' lead 10-0 over the Chicago Bears. The Bears, Johnny, have 2 yards of offense to this point. They have been stymied by the Redskins defensively, plus the Redskins have used up the clock on 3 possessions. And it is Willie Gault taking Jeff Hayes' kickoff. Gault in full flight.
They have just recently put Gault on the kickoff return because of his 9'3", 100-yard speed. It was Jeff Hayes, number 5, who got deeped a little bit. He was the man that had a chance to get him there. And then Gault, with a little change of speeds, hesitations, he turns, cuts back, and once he gets in the open, nobody's going to catch him. He returned 5 for touchdowns when he was at Tennessee. Willie Gault provides a spark for the Chicago Bears.
The longest kickoff return ever at Soldier Field by a Bear player. The previous long was Ike Hill against Houston in 1973, 95 yards. Butler with the point after. And quickly, the Bears close the margin to 3. Working with 2 yards of total offense, they just got a kickoff return from Willie Galt. And suddenly the margin reduced to a field goal.
This is only his second or third game that he's done this since he got into the pros, and he faked towards the middle, then turned up, and it was Jeff Hayes, number 5. If he could have forced Galt to cut back into the inside, they would have been able to get him, but he missed the tackle, and then here comes another missed tackle as Galt just has got too much speed, too much quickness here, and takes off. And you talk about, what's that new show on CBS, Equalizer? That's an equalizer right there.
Well, certainly almost. That was a dramatic play by Willie Galt. The last time the Bears returned a kickoff for a touchdown was in 1980 when Dave Williams did it at Detroit, a 95-yarder.
That was an overtime, I think, and they won the football game.
Well, elsewhere around the NFL today, the Cowboys in front of Houston 7-0 in the second period. And the Raiders now lead New England 14-10. Mark Wilson to Dokie Williams, a touchdown pass. And Minnesota continues to lead Buffalo 7-0. Kansas City still in front of Seattle 14-0 in the second period. Tampa Bay and Detroit are now tied at 3 apiece in the second quarter. The Lions at 2-1. And Tampa Bay struggling somewhat again at 0-3. Ken Jenkins, a former Lion, waiting the kickoff, and a line drive shot from Butler, taking a yard deep. Jenkins will bring it up. Jenkins has got some running room, and he is hit by his opposite number, Taylor, at the 31-yard line, and gets to about the 35. Good field position, and again, a little extra pushing and shoving on the play. These are two fired-up football teams here today. No flags down, however, and so the Redskins, again, will have a good place to start from at their own 34.
Well, I think it was Dean Hamill on the special teams who went after Calvin Thomas, number 33.
Oh, there is a flag.
Number 78 on the white team in fact that they pushed an official.
Wow. That's a definite no-no.
That's a no-no in the National Football League. Here comes, you'll be able to see Hamill. He's 78. He comes in at 33 at the left of your screen. He puts the block on, and Calvin Thomas didn't like that, and he kept going. Now, he wasn't penalized for that. The official right there, that he was actually going after Calvin Thomas, and he kind of pushed the official away, and you don't do that. Those are fragile people out there.
He might get community service or weekends in the county jail for that kind of an offense there. First down for the Redskins. But it is back now just inside their own 20-yard line. So the good return by Jenkins negated by the penalty to Hamill. And the Bears, Richard Dent came flying in with Wilson right behind him to put the stop on Rodgers, number 38.
And the key was Otis Wilson. He went over number 68, Russ Grimm. This time, Otis Wilson, 55. Now watch him leap over the block by Russ Grimm and make the tackle. Otis Wilson says he wasn't going to get blocked on that same play again, and that time he made a super play.
I miscalled that, gave that arm move there to Dent 95. It was Wilson 55. Second and 11. Rodgers again trying the left side. The Bears shut him down. Wilbur Marshall and Dan Hampton and Mike Singletary all involved in the stop, with Singletary at the bottom. You don't have to start Singletary's motor in the morning. He gets out of bed ready to play with a great fury.
And that is to play hard-nosed football. He didn't report to camp till very late because of a salary dispute, but he's back, and now the Redskins are in the situation they do not like against the Bears. 3rd and almost 10.
3 wide receivers with Keith Griffin for the Redskins.
Blitz.
Short drop by Theismann, buried by Tyrone Keys. Last year's #1 defense, currently #1 against the rush, but only 13th overall, showing some of last year's style.
They brought everybody but the kitchen sink. As Sean Gale, 23, took up 2 linemen, and Tyrone Keys was there. There were just not enough blockers. to block all those Chicago Bears coming. But the Redskins got confused on their blocking, and that's what the Bears try and do. And Theismann had no chance to get the ball off. The Bears sacked him 7 times in that playoff game last year.
Theismann is standing at the end zone to punt the football. Oh, it's a bad punt. Theismann off the side of his foot. Now, we had no report on Hayes. We'll try and get that for you. It went a yard. It went a yard. The word on Hayes is a bruised knee, which may have occurred on the Galt kickoff return.
I think that's exactly what happened when he tried to make the tackle on Willie Galt for the touchdown. He was injured, and Joe Theismann had the punt. He wound up with a 1-yard punt, and you talk about a turnaround in a football game. Okay, here's Theismann, one of the few single-bar players left. His form looked pretty good there, but he dropped the ball, and it came off to the right and went off the side of his foot. The Redskins are in some trouble now.
So Chicago with an enormous opportunity. First down at the 15-yard line. Theismann forced the punt and hasn't punted. We're going to try to find out. It's been some time since he's had to punt. McMahon in difficulty. Gets the ball off. Touchdown! McKinnon.
This time, Jim McMahon, number 9, watch him feel the blitz from the outside, and he'll go forward in the pocket as Walter Payton on the left of your screen kicks Malott out, and then here comes McKinnon continuing his pattern, and McMahon right on the dime for the touchdown. He has been magic for Chicago.
First completion of the afternoon for McMahon. He is 1 for 4. Butler with a point after. And the Chicago Bears striking suddenly with a kickoff return by Galt, the miscue by the punter Theismann, and the Bears lead 14-10. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris back at an electric Soldier Field where the Bears have taken the lead 14-10, a 14-yard touchdown pass. McMahon to McKinnon. McMahon's first completion after a 1-yard punt by Joe Theismann. Butler's kickoff right back to the in line where Ken Jenkins, number 31, made the catch but did not think about bringing it out. So Washington will start first down from their own 20-yard line. Well, we have been able to determine that Theismann has never punted in the NFL. Of course, those of you who remember his college days at Notre Dame know that he was a punter there. He went up to Canada, played with the Toronto Argonauts, and did some punting there in the Canadian Football League. He is listed as their backup punter for Jeff Hayes because of his talent. But, however, I did not see him practice on Thursday. I don't know how often that he actually practices punting. And he'll wish now that he had done a little more of it. This is Rogers. Stopped right at the line of scrimmage. And with his forward progress and effort, perhaps a 2-yard gain. We'll see how they spot it. 230-pound Heisman Trophy winner George Rogers. The fans were ready for this game today, hoping that their Bears can go 4-0. The last time they did that, I think you were still playing, Johnny.
It's been a long time since I think 63 when they won the World Championship in 1963.
2nd and 9, Washington. Rogers again, out that right side where they've had some success. He picks up 3, maybe 4 yards. Wilson and Gale are there, and Mike Hartenstein with the initial contact, number 73. Coming up at halftime, Brandon Irv will bring you up to date on all the scores and highlights, and Tom Brookshire will report on the NFL instant replay issue. Is the judgment call good enough? We'll get Tom's view on that, which I'm sure will be laced with some humor. That's coming up at halftime. Keith Griffin comes in. 3 wide receivers.
The Bears are into their 46 defense.
3rd down and 5, Washington. Theismann hit. The ball is loose. Recovered by the Bears. And it will be ruled a fumble. Hampton came up with the ball. And it was Richard Dent who got a hand on Theismann before he could raise his arm and get into forward motion, which may have resulted in an incompleted pass, but he did not get the arm going forward. Let's watch.
It will come from the left side of your screen. Wilbur Marshall, 58 blitzes, and you'll see Richard Dent is on the outside, way to the outside, Marshall gets blocked, but he gets from the outside, and does Theismann's horn go forward? It does not, as Richard Dent knocks the ball loose. Number 95, the Bears recover, and you talk about a game that has turned around in a moment's time.
And so the Bears find themselves again deep in Washington territory at the 22-yard line. First down out of the I formation. McMahon wants to throw to the corner for Galt. It is tipped away by Darrell Green, number 28, who had perfect coverage. A flag down on the play, downfield, away from the ball.
Darrell Green, who moves all over the field to cover Willie Galt. Wherever Willie Galt, number 83, goes, that's where Darrell Green, because he's the one guy who has the speed to run with Willie Galt. But there is a penalty.
Defensive holding, number 55. First down.
Mel Kaufman charged with defensive holding, evidently on one of the receivers downfield. Not Galt, but an off receiver.
They'll take the penalty, but Jim McMahon had to take some punishment along the way after he gets this pass off. Now watch as he fires for Galt, and here comes Darrell Grant, number 77, to put a hit on him.
Calvin Thomas in at fullback for the Bears, number 33. Out of the pro set. Give us to Peyton, is to Thomas. Thomas gets to the 15-yard line, a pickup of about 3 yards. Calvin Thomas from Illinois in his 4th year, signed as a free agent in 1982. Backs up Matt Suey at the fullback position. And the word on Hayes was a bruised knee, as we mentioned earlier, and that forced Theismann to punt. We'll find out whether Hayes is going to get back into the action. Theismann will be getting his punting practice during this game.
I don't think the Redskins will kick off to Willie Galt's side anymore either the rest of this game, do you?
Well, I rather doubt it. It is 2nd and 9. Bears in scoring position again. They flare it out to Thomas. He's got some room. Thomas gets to the 10-yard line, and Curtis Jordan, number 22, closed on him well, but not before Thomas got inside the 10. He'll be short of the first down by about a yard, a 6-yard pickup.
Well, obviously, this is a key defensive stand for the Redskins because, I mean, this game is still close at 14-7. And as I said, there's Richie Pettibone, the defensive boss of the Washington Redskins, a former Chicago Bear who used to be lean and mean. He's not so lean and mean, but I'll tell you what, he knows football.
That's a former defensive back. Third down. He had about a yard and a half, it would appear. Big play for the Bears here. Let's keep this drive going, and it's out to the tight end. Moorhead, touchdown. Emory Moorhead, as they picked up the blitz well, and Walter Payton dove over to pick up the blitzer and enabled McMahon time to get the ball off.
Okay, McMahon is, Emory Moorhead is way over here at this side of the screen here, and you'll see the wide receiver come down and clear, and then he goes out and in, and the coverage was inside. There was a blitz here that the Bears picked up. Now take a close look.
And we'll see that play after the point after by Butler. So the Bears extend their lead, having turned 2 Washington miscues into scores.
Okay, fans, here is the blitz man, Tony Peters, as he comes through. McMahon had to get rid of the ball in a hurry, but you're going to see Moorhead go and outside, but the wide receiver was the key. McKinnon came across to clear the zone, and McMahon just hit Emory Moorhead out there. Let's take a look at it. Here comes Peters up the middle. He tried to get a hold of McMahon. Walter Payton makes the block, and there's Moorhead to the outside, into the end zone. Coverage from the inside, no chance. Once they picked up the blitz and got Tony Peters with Walter Payton, McMahon was in great shape because they had a one-on-one situation on the short yardage.
The veteran tight end, Emory Moorhead, 9-year man from Colorado, making the catch for the score. 2 touchdown passes for McMahon, who is 3 of 7 now, with 2 touchdowns and an interception.
Because last week he threw 3 touchdown passes in 7 minutes time when he came in against the Minnesota Vikings.
9:19 remains here in the first half. Dallas continues to lead Houston 7-0. And the Patriots have gone ahead of the Raiders 19-14. Raiders trying to recover from last week's defeat to San Francisco. Minnesota has widened their lead over Buffalo 13-0. And St. Louis on the board against Green Bay 9-0. Randy Wright, the quarterback today for the Pack. Kansas City still in front of Seattle. And another bouncing kickoff fielded by Jenkins at the goal line. He'll bring it up. Ken Jenkins, a flag is down. Jenkins gets knocked forward over the 30. Another flag is down. 2 flags on this kickoff play. A 30-yard return for Ken Jenkins. Thomas Sanders, reserve rookie running back for Chicago, made the tackle.
And these penalties on the special teams are really important because instead of having field position, I'm assuming it's against Washington, it appears to be, at the 25 or 30-yard line, they got to go way back and start from the shadow of their own goal post, and that makes it tough.
We had an illegal block, number 92 on the kick return, and we had offensive holding on the kick return, number 58.
So it's like take your choice.
So the holding penalty on the return against the Redskins will back them up as we see the next Sunday. Our action includes the Niners at Atlanta. The Bears will be at Tampa Bay, Detroit at Green Bay, Minnesota at the Rams. A lot of key games in this early season action in the NFL. Check your local listings for the game and time in your area. It all starts with the NFL today. And our spies back in New York have called down to the Golden Dome at Notre Dame to find out if Joe Theismann ever punted for the Fighting Irish, and the word came back no. First down, Redskins. Rodgers hit and dropped for a loss. Richard Dent, number 95, a thorn in the side of the Redskins in the playoff game a year ago, makes another big defensive play.
He got there almost as fast as the ball, and he comes from the right of your screen as the Redskins were going to try and counter back on his side. 95, Richard Dent made the hit, and then some more Chicago Bears came in to trap George Rodgers, and the Redskins are back at their own 3-yard line.
It'll be second and nearly 17 yards, working from the shadow of the goal line. Joe Theismann. It's been a rocky start after the Redskins have taken the early lead. That is Clark, Gary Clark, gaining about 6 yards back near the original line of scrimmage before Frazier and Fensick put the stop on him.
The Bears are doing something very interesting. When they go into their 46, they have a linebacker out there on Didier or Warren all by themselves as a wide receiver. A linebacker trying to cover kind of a speedy tight end, if it's Didier, is a very difficult job, but the Bears do it because they put the blitzes on and they figure that the Redskins don't have time to take advantage of it.
Clark's forward progress got him to the 15, leaving a 3rd and 6. 3 wide receivers for the Skins. Theismann to Clark again, couldn't hold on to the ball as he was hit by Richardson, number 27. Ball a little behind him, and then when Richardson made contact, Clark could not hold on, so Washington will have to punt. And it's not going to be Theismann. It's going to be Jay Schrader, the backup quarterback from UCLA. Now, he is not listed on their pre-deep sheet as the backup punter Theismann is, but it's going to be Schrader. So the injury to Hayes is going to turn out to be a huge factor in this football game.
I'm sure he wants to play in this football game, but not as a punter.
Not standing at his own goal line either. And now the Redskins changing their blocking scheme here on the punt, so that's going to add some more nerves to Schrader. And Schrader kicks a high, short punt, comes down at the 35, is down there and rolls forward to about the 48-yard line, but it'll be brought back to where the Redskins initially made contact with the ball, and that is at the 36-yard line. So Joe Gibbs has got to be wondering how he can possibly make up for this turn of events here. They make up for the loss of Hayes with 7:27 to go in the first half. The Bears leading 21-10 and again have the ball in Washington territory.
There he is talking to Joe Theismann, going over the game plan. It's a little early to change the game plan. They're down 11. That's not insurmountable.
On first down, Suey to about the 30-yard line. It'll be a gain of nearly 7. Manley and Olkowitz on the tackle. Look at Buddy Ryan, the defensive coordinator of the Bears, organizing things for the next series of plays. It is 2nd and a long 3 for Chicago at the Washington 30-yard line. 2 short punts have given them yet another scoring opportunity. McMahon has got running room to the 10-yard line. 1st and goal, Chicago. A 20-yard run by McMahon up the middle. Vernon Dean finally put the stop on him.
Well, that's one of his assets, just like Joe Theismann. That time the regular 4-man rush has started to cave in on him there as Darrell Grant was close, but then McMahon just took off down the field. And, of course, his big thing with Mike Ditka is try to hit the turf and don't take punishment. Well, this time he got hit, but no injury as the Bears are pounding on the goal line again at the 10-yard line. This is a key drive. The Redskins will be in big trouble if the Bears score here.
21-10, Chicago lead. Lots of time for McMahon. Now forced out, and he is dropped. Gained about 2 yards as he started upfield toward the goal line. Mann and Kaufman, 71 and 55, buried him at the 10-yard line. It'll turn into about, well, maybe a half-yard gain.
Jim McMahon is the #1 rated quarterback in the NFL this year with a 115 rating, which is astronomical. The one thing he hasn't done that Joe Theismann has is that he hasn't shown durability yet. Theismann has played for 156 straight games, I believe. He never gets hurt, and that's really admirable in the quarterback. McMahon has never finished a season yet.
2nd down. 10-yard marker just outside the goal line. McMahon has plenty of time. Now flares off to Suey. Good defensive reaction by the Redskins as they bury him as soon as he caught the ball. Neil Olkowitz and Mel Kaufman, the linebackers, 52 and 55, combining on the stop. Kaufman having to play in all of the passing downs with the Monty Coleman injury. He's on injured reserve with a hamstring.
Neil Olkowitz is something else, isn't he? He had 16 tackles last week. Plays game in and game out for the Redskins, and goes out on a 3rd down situation. But we talk about trying to run against Olkowitz. He's tough. The Bears have not gotten much yardage on the ground. Not much at all. It's been mostly pass. An unbelievable play, and what a catch by Jim McMahon. He gives a little handoff to Payton, who was almost knocked down, stumbled, was going to throw the other way back. And then McMahon shows his receivers how do you do it when you throw, as Walter Payton put it on the dime. He had to stretch out there as the Redskins were fooled, and he does it just like he wants his receivers. What an example to set for your receivers.
Butler will attempt the point after. And so the Bears capitalize again with a little schoolyard razzle-dazzle. And what do they do to celebrate? Well, it's a little odd, but that's what they do. Bang head. Johnny Morris here at Soldier Field, and Johnny, it's hard to believe that the Redskins led in this game 10-0, really dominated on their first 2 possessions. The touchdown return by Willie Golf, the injury to Jeff Hayes, suddenly 28 Bear points.
That's right. All of a sudden a spark, and the Redskins are in some trouble. And the ironic thing is, normally you try and establish a running game like the Redskins did. The Chicago Bears have not even tried to establish a running game. They've just opened up throwing the ball and playing wide open, and it has really caught the Redskins. So you have to give them a lot of credit there. They were down 10-0, opened up, and look at the last 6 possessions. That pretty much tells the story.
14, 22, and 36-yard lines of Washington. And that has told the tale, as has this young man who is having some fun out here this afternoon. Jim McMahon, the former Brigham Young star, has been injured in each of his NFL seasons. Now in season number 4, and off to a great start. This is Jenkins for the Redskins, tripped up by Jim Morrissey, reserve linebacker number 51 for the Bears, and Washington will start at their own 20-yard line. One thing McMahon is not good at is cutting hair, especially his own. That little effort you're looking at there is by his own artistry, and gratefully, he says it's grown out because it looked a lot worse. Well, let's see whether Joe Theismann can rally back the Redskins here, because Theismann got off to a fine start here this afternoon. The Redskins came in confident. They took a 10-0 lead. George Rogers is the running back. He's had 2 long gainers in the game. Pressure on Theismann, runs out of it and slides in. Short, well short of the first down, but a gain of about 7 yards on the play. Got over the 25 to the 26-yard line. Gary Fensick was there to make sure that Joe didn't get up again.
I'm sure you're aware of the new rule where the quarterback slides feet first. That means he is automatically down, and you're not supposed to hit him. That can be a tough call because you never know when the quarterback's going to slide first, especially if you've made your commitment on the tackle.
Five-yard gain credited to Theismann. 2nd and 5. Didier, the tight end, comes wide right. They'll show you all kinds of looks for their tight end. Here's Rogers with another big hole. Rogers gets a block and a first down out to the 45-yard line. Singletary, number 50, and Fensick, 45, made the tackle, but a 20-yard gain for Rogers, who's been doing some business out the right side.
Okay, this was a case where they caught Otis Wilson, number 55, again as he came across the line of scrimmage, and the trap man, Russ Grimm, came over and made the block, and that allowed Rogers to cut inside. There's the block on 55 by 68.
Back live the Redskins at their own 45-yard line. Theismann 7 of 11 for 55 yards. Make it 8 completions to the tight end Didier. A pickup of about 4 yards with Sean Gale playing for the injured Dave Duerson. Gale, number 23, making the tackle. Gale, a second-year man from Ohio State. Duerson bothered with a groin pull injury. And there's Joe Gibbs trying to figure out what they can do to get some points on the board before the end of this first half with 2:29 to go.
Well, I think they take advantage of the 2:29, go down, nothing spectacular, try and get on the board once before halftime, and they're back in this football game. So there's no big rush right now.
But the word on Jeff Hayes, a torn muscle in his knee, and he will not return. So that's a huge factor. They tried to swing it out there in a screen to Rogers, but it was tipped by the Bears defenders. Mike Hartenstein, number 73, got a big paw up in front of Theismann and deflected the ball away. 3rd down.
You know, that was really a decent play. That would have worked very well. The blocking was set up out in front, and Hartenstein just deflected the ball. Little things mean a lot in all phases of life, right?
That play for Hartenstein, a heartening thing for him, as last week Keys got into his position and got a little more playing time in for the veteran. So he's looking to make some big defensive plays. Remind everybody that he's the starter. Theismann forced from the pocket. He'll have the first down. Gets into Bear territory inside the 45-yard line. 7-yard gain for Theismann.
It's going to be very close because when you slide is where the ball comes down and your body is backwards a ways. So it appeared that he made it very easily, and it's going to be a very close measurement because when he slides, his feet go first, and then where his body hits is back a yard or so.
That's an excellent point since they're going to measure here, Johnny.
In fact, boy, is that close. Let me put my binoculars on and see if I can give you some advance notice, folks. I would say, boy, it's too close to call. Looks like he might have just made it.
And he did. So it's first down for the Redskins, and they'll spot it at the 46-yard line. We have the 2-minute warning sounded here at Soldier Field. The Bears 28, Washington 10. And Ryan with Johnny on CBS Sports. Many of you will see the Michigan State Spartans take on 3rd-ranked Iowa. And some of you will see a Pac-10 battle between Arizona State and UCLA. College football next Saturday at 2:30 Eastern Time, 11:30 Pacific, here on CBS Sports. Redskins with a first down on the run up the middle by Theismann. 2 minutes to play, first half. Keith Griffin, number 35, hit by Wilbur Marshall after a gain of about 3 yards. Good reaction by Marshall, the second-year man from Florida, the Bears' #1 choice a year ago. Did not see a whole lot of action in his rookie season with Al Harris, and Of course, Todd Bell still holdouts from that #1 ranked defense a year ago. Marshall has stepped in and seems to be getting stronger each game in the opinion of his coaches. Second down, a 2-yard gain. Officially, it'll be 2nd and 8. And there are some revealing statistics about what's happened here in the first half. Play action. Didier can't make the grab. A little overthrown for Clint Didier down the sideline. Redskins will use those tight ends, particularly Didier, as good speed, almost as wide receivers, and that was a sample of it there.
That was a time where they had Otis Wilson on him, but they brought Fensick over to help on the double coverage. So here comes a big play for the Redskins, 3rd down and 8, as Gary Clark comes back in the game. Of course, Ken Huff is staying in there at the guard spot with Tiedemann hurt. Number 61, Ken Huff, was drafted before Walter Payton back in 1975.
Theismann 9 out of 15 now, just 62 yards here in this first half. On 3rd down, a big play for the Redskins in this game. 2 extra backs in for the Bears, and the pass is down. The pressure on Theismann, moves smoothly away from it. Now dumps it off short to Didier, and he will be short of the first down by about a yard, maybe a little less. Fensick making the tackle on Clint Didier. 1:33 remains first half. And Joe Gibbs telling his team on the field to take the timeout.
So it's going to be 4th down and about 6 inches, as Theismann did a good job of ad-libbing. The Bears put the blitz on that time. He was able to get out of it, couldn't decide whether to run or to pass the ball, as Didier seems to have hurt his foot a little bit.
Well, after their 10-0 lead, things have just been a nightmare here for the Redskins, sparked by the kickoff return by Willie Gault, and on that play, what may be the key happening of the whole day, the one play, because of the touchdown produced by Gault that closed it to 10-7, and the kickoff man and punter, Jeff Hayes, getting hurt on the play. Don't forget, coming up at halftime, Brendan Irv in our New York studios will bring you up to date on all the scores and highlights from around the league. And Tom Brookshire will have a special report on the NFL instant replay issue. Is the judgment call good enough? And I bet Tom's got an opinion. We'll hear it at halftime.
Well, I think the decision is on this 4th down play. They've got to get the first down, and it's only just a few inches. Usually a quarterback, even if the quarterback sneak fails, will get you 6 inches if you just fall forward. Sometimes if you risk the handoff, you can get somebody knifing through, and the back won't get started. So I would say percentages say go with the quarterback sneak and get that first down.
3 tight ends in on 4th and short here. They had a little muscle up front. Bears with an 11-1 record when they take that lead into the locker room. And this is going to be close.
I think you got it. They hit Riggins behind the line of scrimmage, but I believe he might have fallen forward enough for the first down.
Hampton made the initial contact, but he is now slow to get up in the Redskins backfield, limping back to the line of scrimmage, number 99, as we wait for the official measurement.
Boy, you talk about close measurements. This will be closer than the one we had last time.
There's Hampton. Of course, he's coming off the knee surgery and hasn't been really 100% through the first 3 weeks of the season. Big measurement here, obviously. And it is just short. Twice now, the Bears have stopped the Redskins on 4th and less than a yard. So with 1:09 remaining first half, the Bears will have the football again, and they hold the lead 28-10. 2 touchdown passes by McMahon, one from Payton to McMahon, and one that you could have drawn up in the dirt at the schoolyard.
Well, you run it back from 6 yards back and you run him off tackle on a slant, somebody's liable to knife through, and that's exactly what happened to knock Riggins down. He fell forward, but he wasn't able to hit that line with the power that he wanted. And that's the chance you take when you run it that way.
First down, they come out in the shotgun here. It'll be the 109 drill for the Chicago Bears. Man off for Payton, 2 blockers in front of him. And good defensive work by Darrell Green, number 28, to make the tackle on Payton. The gain will be about 7 yards.
It certainly was a good play by Darrell Green. Boy, he had 2 linemen in front of him, and they hit him. He bounced off the hits and still made the tackle as the Bears were in a hurry up.
2nd and 2, under 45 seconds we go. Block formation right out of the shotgun. Off to Suey this time, and McKinnon gives him a block. Suey picks up an extra couple of yards out of bounds near the midfield stripe. 34 seconds remaining. Rich Malott, the man to knock him out, number 57.
Well, Darrell Green really has been banged around here and still made the plays. This Matt Suey was the safety valve. He's number 26, and you'll see Darrell Green is out there. He gets a block from Dennis McKinnon. Hits Green. There he is. Down he goes, but he's still there forcing, getting up and getting in on the tackle. Darrell Green is playing really a good football game. It's kind of hidden sometimes when you're losing 28 to 10.
5'8", 170 pounder, the number 1 choice. And as the expression goes, he is a blue chipper. First down, McMahon from midfield. Deep, complete. Ken Marjoram, number 82. First down at the 30-yard line. 27 seconds on the clock. Timeout called by the Bears. Curtis Jordan and rookie Barry Wilburn, 22 and 45, made the tackle.
You're going to see Curtis Jordan. He's number 22 at the top of your screen. His margin gets by the first man is Wilburn. He's actually could have gone straight down the field, but he cuts across. Wilburn on the tackle, and here comes Jordan. And this is real close on a late hit right here, folks. There was no penalty called. So there you see the Bears organizing for the next series of plays with 27 seconds remaining first half. And the disaster that has struck Washington here in this first half after a calm 10-0 lead, as I said earlier when I was at practice in Washington on Thursday, they were very calm, very well prepared, and the way they started out in this game, it looked like that they were ready for the Bears offense. Their defense played superbly on the first 2 series. They marched the ball down the field in old Washington style, and I think that those people who feared that maybe Theismann was losing something at this stage of his career, 36 years of age, really threw the ball so well in practice that there would not appear to be any concern. And Joe Gibbs, when I asked him about it, he said, hey, his arm is as strong as it was a year ago. There's no worry about his ability or his leadership. However, bad things have happened here. Nightmarish things have happened. Galt's 99-yard kickoff return, the injury to punter Jeff Hayes have really turned this game around in favor of Chicago. McMahon. That is almost intercepted. Intended for McKinnon. The ball was short, and it was Vernon Dean, number 32, who nearly had a chance at the pickoff. I think what happened was he lost his footing just as he was going to make the interception. You see McKinnon down and out. And here comes Vernon Dean. And that would have stopped the Bear drive had he hung on to that ball. And it squirted loose, so the Chicago Bears have 21 seconds as Vernon Dean comes up with a key play. Good coverage by Dean.
But again, not the turnover. And that's something that's been a big problem.
That's right.
They're minus 10 in turnovers. Only 1 interception until today. Jordan picked up the 2nd of the season. Out of the shotgun, McMahon. Downfield, he's got McKinnon open. McKinnon makes the catch. The tackle by Dean, number 32, 12 seconds to play, and the Bears threaten again inside the 20 at the 17. Another timeout called by Chicago.
Dennis McKinnon is now the leading receiver in the National Football League for yardage-wise. Okay, we're going to get a look at Dennis McKinnon. He is number 85. Goes down the field. They have inside-outside coverage. He takes the jam from Vernon Dean, takes another jam, and then just finds the hole. And that is his biggest capability, is always to find the right spot, and then makes a super catch. He's an undrafted football player, too. You know, the amazing thing about this football game is the Redskins obviously are prepared to stop Walter Payton. How many yards does Payton have? We have to check that out. How many rushing yards does Walter Payton have? Not very many. And that is the changing face of the Chicago Bears, which the Redskins are learning, the Minnesota Vikings are learning, is that they can strike you in different ways. It used to be just Walter Payton's rushing.
So the Bears will be first down at the 16-yard line. And the answer to your question for Walter Payton is
3 carries for minus 3 yards. That's the amazing stat in this football game.
Out to the right goes Marjoram. Out to the left goes Galt. 12 seconds to play. Little early movement brings a flag. McMahon, incomplete. Miscue there on the pattern between McMahon and Galt, the apparent intended receiver, number 83. Charles Mann had the early charge. Let's see if he was drawn over. The referee Bob Frederick will sort things out with his staff.
Defense, number 71, offside. First down will be repeated.
And it was Charles Mann.
He's at your lower left-hand corner, 71 in the white jersey. Just watch the movement there. And he did it on his own. Didn't seem to be any movement on the Bear offense. They're going to go for the field goal now.
So onto the field, Kevin Butler, the rookie from Georgia, their 4th pick this year. Beating out Bob Thomas, the veteran, turned up in San Diego. But Butler is 7 for 11 and leads the NFC in points coming into this game with 31. Steve Fuller will hold, and the ball is spotted at the 19-yard line. 29-yard try for Butler right in front of the goal post, and he is good. So the Chicago Bears, with 4 seconds remaining in this first half of play, officially a 28-yard field goal for Kevin Butler, have opened a 31-10 lead over the Redskins. And if you joined us late along the way, Washington led in this game, and impressively so, 10-0 into the early part of the second period. An incredible turnaround, 31 consecutive points by the Chicago Bears. And it will require some heroics by Theismann and company in the second half to get themselves back into this one.
And I'm sure Joe Gibbs, as you saw over there discussing the situation, realizes that they have a very difficult situation because the Bears are the best team in the league as far as third down defenses, pass defenses, because they had 72 sacks last year. And when you try and play them from behind, it's very difficult. So they've got a lot of recharting, a lot of things to do in the locker room to come back. It's 31-10. That's 21 points. It's certainly not insurmountable, especially with a guy like Joe Theismann. No matter what anybody says, he's one of the best and one of the smartest quarterbacks. He calls all the individual plays in the huddle. They just signal out the formation. He usually does the rest. He's a sharp quarterback.
Butler's kickoff. Jenkins deep in the end zone, and he will not bring it out. So Washington, with 4 seconds, will have the ball at the 20-yard line. The Bears and the Rams, the only 2 unbeaten teams coming into today's action. Atlanta playing at Los Angeles today, later this afternoon.
Well, you got 4 seconds. Let's call a play, Tim. What are they going to do?
Well, they might just decide to run it out here and reorganize. They're not even going to do that. They're going to go backwards. Joe's going to just put a little kneel down there. A genuflection ends this first half.
Today's Chevrolet. Rich, smooth Meisterbrow, the beer that only tastes expensive. And by AC Delco, the smart part.
We are at halftime at Soldier Field in Chicago, where the Bears have a commanding 31-10 lead over the Washington Redskins. And we'll be back here in Chicago on this beautiful afternoon in just a moment. Back again at Soldier Field in Chicago. At halftime, the Bears 31, the Redskins 10. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris here, and it has been a wild and woolly first half. Washington started out like they were going to dominate the Bears. They were tough defensively. They scored on their first possession in the old Washington style. Riggins taking it in for the touchdown. Mosley added a field goal. And then the big play that really turned it around. The touchdown return by Willie Galt.
Willie Galt with the touchdown return, and it was a boomer, as you know, the longest one at Soldier Field by the Chicago Bears. and the Redskins opted to kick to him over there on the right side, and he just took off. He got some key blocks and then went up the sidelines instead of the middle, and we're going to see where Jeff Hayes got hurt, number 5. He's the kicker, and there he must have hurt his knee, and then Galt came back and put a move on Wilburn and went all the way into the end zone for the touchdown. The Redskins actually have outgained the Bears in the first half, 166 yards to 105, yet this kickoff return, of course, the bad punt by Joe Theismann, things like that, and the trick play have made a big difference in the score.
Here we'll see from that same play you just saw, Jeff Hayes is number 5. Now he sees that Galt has got a great opportunity to go to the distance, so naturally he's got to try and make a play, even though punters are not often great tacklers, but he did what he had to do and tries to stop Willie Galt.
What he didn't do was go all the way across to force Willie Galt to cut back to the pursuit from the inside. He kind of stopped, was trying to force him out of bounds, and that was his mistake. Of course, he doesn't make a lot of tackles.
Well, this, after 2 touchdown passes by McMahon, saw him hand off to Payton, who was looking to throw to his right, but they were covered. Good coverage and reaction by Washington. Look what happens.
And here goes Jim McMahon. They may change him to a wide receiver after this one. How would you like to be a wide receiver with the Bears from now on and have McMahon be your quarterback? And he shows you how to do it with this. This was a fingertip catch, a nice dive as the Redskins were completely full, and Jim McMahon got a touchdown. And I was just figuring out, in his last 3.5 quarters, Jim McMahon has thrown 5 touchdown passes and caught 1 touchdown pass in 3.5 quarters. Now, how many quarterbacks have done that?
I think he's operating in another orbit altogether, and one would think he's going to come back down to earth at some point. In fact, after the interception, it looked, his early interception, it looked like maybe he'd come back down to earth, but no. 2 touchdown passes and a touchdown reception. The 31 points for the Bears, the most they've ever scored in a quarter.
And as you see the statistics, 166 to 105, and look at the time of possession. Washington almost 19 minutes to only 11 for the Chicago Bears, yet the score is 31 to 10, and that's football.
So the Bears will kick it off, and you can see the bad news for Washington in that first half of play. Look at the field position they've had, and it has just been all bad news after their early 10-0 lead. So let's see whether Theismann and company can rally. Short kickoff to Jenkins. He bobbled the ball momentarily, but now gets it up close to the 20-yard line, and Washington will start from there.
Well, it'll be interesting to see what the Redskins decided to come up with at halftime. They're down 31-10. That's a big score, but it's not insurmountable, and I think this is a key series. If they could go down, get themselves at least a field goal or more, or better for them would be a touchdown, they would kind of be back in this football game. But to start opening up and trying to throw downfield against the Chicago Bears type of a defense, you're going to be asking for trouble.
George Rogers is the starting running back this half. He had 71 yards on 9 carries in the first half. Play action, fake to him. It's off to Muhammad. Muhammad is hit immediately, but picks up maybe 8 yards on the play. Leslie Frazier, number 21, on the tackle. Calvin Muhammad was almost a plaintive figure in practice this week when I spoke to him on Thursday after he didn't make a catch last week in the loss to Philadelphia. I said, Calvin, what did you do after the game? He's quite an outstanding musician and composer. He said, I went home and picked up the horn and started to write. And I wrote a song in 2 or 3 days, and I felt a whole lot better. And he feels that he's ready for a big game today, but the Redskins haven't had a chance to get to him. Second down, long 2, sideliner. Right on the money, complete to Didier. What a catch by Clint Didier. He gets up and runs to the end zone, but they ruled him down. The Redskins protesting that the Bear defenders had not laid a glove on him. But Didier made a beautiful catch of a perfect pass. 27-yard gain.
And he certainly did, and Theismann put it right there. But notice the key here was who was covering Didier. You can see number 50, Singletary, and number 58, Wilbur Marshall. 2 linebackers covering basically a wideout in Clint Didier. Now, that's the kind of defenses you'll get from the Chicago Bears. 50 and 58 covering 30 yards down the field.
Well, and it did show on the replay that Marshall had a hand on Didier, and that's really all you need for the officials to rule it down. Although Didier tried to stretch it into a touchdown, naturally, but it's first down, Washington. Didier comes out, Rick Walker comes in. The give is to Rogers. He's tripped up behind the line of scrimmage by Mike Singletary and fell forward for maybe a gain of a yard. Singletary, number 50, the 5-year man from Baylor. 19 tackles, 3 sacks, and an interception in the first 3 games for Chicago.
And 16 broken helmets in college football. He broke 16 helmets. He used to keep track of them.
I wonder if McMahon has broken any helmets with his headbutting act here that he does with his offensive line mates and the wide receivers. So it's a half-yard gain for Washington. Slot formation left. They come out on the I. And they give to Rodgers again, hit behind the line by Singletary. And then Richard Dent made sure he got no farther, and he'll wind up with maybe a gain of another yard. So it'll be 3rd and long, and Joe Gibbs said, you know, this has been part of our problem. We've got to make something happen on 1st down. Use our runners to get ourselves 5 or 6 yards. We're putting the pressure on ourselves on 2nd and 3rd and long.
Okay, let's watch Singletary. He's the guy that gets in and jams it up right away. Number 50 just finds the gap, comes to, jams up the blocking, and makes the tackle.
3 wide receivers. In motion is rookie Gary Clark. Blitz. Sideline. Incomplete. Intended for Muhammad, number 89, and they went to that same pass on the blitz before with Richardson on the coverage. Theismann having to hurry that throw. Couldn't get it to Muhammad.
You see how the Bears differ as the Redskins, usually when they're behind or a team faces somebody, a defense, when you're ahead 21 points, you drop everybody off, you don't blitz, you give them the short passes and try and stretch out and win the ball game that way. The Bears keep blitzing everybody.
Jay Schrader is in to punt again, his 2nd punt since replacing Theismann, who replaced Hayes. A bad snap. Nicely fielded, and a good job by Schrader. The ball bounces into the end zone, and it'll be a touchback. But credit to that youngster from UCLA who had to field the snap and still managed to nearly knock the ball out of bounds before it went into the end zone. Bears in front, 31-10.
And watch the good job that Schrader does, because remember, when the ball hits the ground like that, then they can really pile into the punter. He's free game, you might say, and Schrader does a good job of getting the ball and getting it off because they were bearing down on him, and a good block there at the last second to protect him.
That was Kaufman on Sanders with the block, and a good job by Schrader, and we're told that he doesn't even practice during the week punting. He did some in preseason to help the return men get some work, but Schrader, not known as a punter, and having to fill in now. So it's 1st down Bears from the 20-yard line. This is Walter Payton off tackle left, and Payton forced out. They strung him out very well. The initial contact, Vernon Dean, and then Tony Peters forcing him out of bounds. And Payton starts this 2nd half at -3, Johnny.
That's unbelievable for a man who has gained over 13,000 yards, the all-time rusher in the National Football League. And that time Vernon Dean came up and knocked him out of bounds.
So it is a gain of about a yard for Payton.
Payton has had that sore. He's got a sore rib, kind of, and he's had to take some Novocaine shots to kind of deaden the pain. So he's not at 100%.
2nd down. Up the middle, it's complete to the tight end, Moorhead, and Moorhead has a Bears 1st down. Tripped up by Kaufman, but not before he got to the 36-yard line of the Bears. 14-yard gain.
Emory Moorhead is a kind of delays. He kind of fools around and then delays after he gets up off the ground and makes the grab before Malott makes the tackle. Okay, let's take a look at. Watch at that. There's the block. He got down on the ground, got himself up, and went out on a delay, a planned play, as Emory Moorhead does something for the tight ends. Mostly it's been wide receivers for Chicago.
1st down Bears in the wide throw set. Payton and Suey. Flare out to Moorhead. Moorhead hauled down from behind by the safety, by Vernon Dean, number 32. And it'll be close to a 1st down. He'll be short, it looks like, by about maybe a yard or less. 2 consecutive plays to Emory Moorhead. And there's Big Emory, the man from Colorado, came up as a running back into the pros, turned into a fine tight end.
Dexter Manley's never going to live that down.
Not in Chicago.
Not in Chicago, he won't.
Well, you know, those things are said in the heat of battle. It was right after the game last week, the tough loss against the Eagles. It was a Chicago writer who asked him the question, and he has since said, hey, I didn't really mean it that way, folks. but I did say it. Suey is stacked up by Olkowitz, trying to get the first down yardage. See what forward progress produces. Neil Olkowitz, the middle linebacker, number 52. You see Kaufman there on the bottom of your screen with a little extra pad on the top of the collar that he wears. That's because he has a pinched nerve in his neck, and he missed last week's game against the Eagles. He was ready to play this week, and that was fortunate because Monty Coleman, his backup, suffered a hamstring pull in the Eagles game, and he's on injured reserve.
Yeah, they're going to miss Coleman a lot.
First down for the Bears from their own 47. In motion is Suey, the fullback, off the wing. Pitch to Payton. Payton dances through tacklers, gets to the 50 for a gain of about 3 yards. You know, I talked to Walter yesterday at the Bears practice and asked him about those ribs, and he said it really hurts most when I'm bent over because the cartilage between the ribs were stretched. And he said I really feel a lot better today than I have since that injury, which occurred back in the Tampa Bay game, the opening game of the season. Of course, he always says, "Oh, I'm fine. I'm 100%." And you know what he was practicing? What Theismann and Schrader should have been practicing, the way things had turned out. He was punting, which he often does at Bears practices. He knocked off a couple of 45-yarders very casually and then went into the locker room. So they've got a backup punter. Second down. McMahon forced from the pocket. Has the first down yardage, diving into the 40-yard line of Washington. Olkowitz was there, number 52.
This young man set 71 NCAA records when he was at BYU. And not even Joe Theismann did that.
They'll spot it at the 41-yard line of the Redskins. And the Bears leading 31-10, 8:40 ticking away here in the third period. And they're driving again. Suey sets up on the wing right. Galt and McKinnon, the wide receivers. Willie Galt at the top of your screen. Payton inside, little stutter step, and he is hit. Good play by the defensive front of the Washington Redskins.
Good play by Dave Butts there as he came across the line of scrimmage and kind of jammed things up. He's going against Tom Thayer, who was a fill-in for Kurt Becker, the right guard of the Chicago Bears. And Dave Butts, you don't get too many yards up the middle on him, number 65. He did a super job.
Weighs over 300 pounds. 35 years of age, a 13-year man from Purdue. Many observers think that these first 3 games of the year, Butts has played as well as he ever has. And got all of that experience and using it well. Second down and 7. Play action fake to Payton. McMahon, a wobbler to McKinnon, complete. Breaks a tackle. And McKinnon takes on Darrell Green, who holds him down, but he's at the 16-yard line. Well, that one wasn't pretty, but it was effective.
Dennis McKinnon, which is down and across the field, and Vernon Dean lets him go across the field, and he makes the grab as McMahon spotted him on the center, and then here comes the missed tackle by Curtis Jordan, 22, and then the straight arm. McKinnon with the straight arm, and there was Darrell Green. He's the guy that makes the tackle. He's always making tackles. McMahon looks at Dennis McKinnon, 85, as he comes across the field. This is from his perspective. He just has to lead him, and it was Curtis Jordan who doesn't miss too many tackles. He missed it right there. He had already missed it there, but it was Green who knocked him down.
McKinnon turned the wounded duck into a swan, and a first down at the 17-yard line. Payton trying to get wide. Gets a block. Over the 15, a flag down on the play. Charles Mann, number 71. And Curtis Jordan, number 22, on the tackle.
But it was Mel Kaufman who got across that line of scrimmage and busted up that play. Good play by number 55, Mel Kaufman.
Penalty signal against the Bears. And the Redskins have done a good job on Walter Payton in this football game, that's for sure.
Illegal use of the hands on the offense, number 78.
Keith Van Horn is number 78.
And it will be a repeat of first down.
It'll be 1st and 20 The ball is now at the 27-yard line of the Redskins. We have 6:24 remaining here in this third period of play on a perfect afternoon for football. It's been perfect for McMahon and company, and less so for the visiting Redskins. Man runs out of time, lost his balance as he stepped into one of his blockers, Andy Frederick, number 71, and it'll develop into a big loss. Charles Mann, number 71, was there to make sure he didn't get up, and Darrell Grant, number 77, right behind him.
Good pass rush by the Redskins. As you can see that the Bears' pattern remains to be to throw on first down. That was a first down pass, and one of the reasons, obviously, is that they have Okowitz and people who are stronger against the run on the first down situation rather than in the passing situation. So I guess this is an understatement to say that this is a key defensive stand for the Redskins if they're to have any chance. If the Bears score now, I think it's Katie bar the door.
Stuart Anderson has come in for Okowitz. Okowitz getting a bit of a breather here. Second and long. McMahon back the other way. Payton wide open. Touchdown. McMahon to Payton, returning the favor of Payton's touchdown pass to him.
Now Payton goes out of the backfield off to the left of your screen. McMahon rolls back the other way. Now Stuart Anderson's got a cover in 58. And notice the presence of mind of Payton. He has to concentrate on the ball, and then he has to make a move right here to avoid the tackle by Darrell Green and goes in for the touchdown. Boy, the Bears are playing like magic these days.
First touchdown of the season for the great one, Walter Payton. And it comes via the pass as the Redskins have shut down his running today. But they cannot shut down the Bears' pass offense. Butler with a point after. 5:23 remaining third period. The unbeaten Chicago Bears 38, the Redskins 10. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris at Soldier Field. Jim McMahon has just passed 33 yards to Walter Payton. It is 38-10 for the Chicago Bears. 5:23 remaining third period. Butler, little wind-aided ball off the tee. Will tee it up again.
If the Bears win this game, they will have won their last 5 regular season games, which is high in the NFL right now. It's the longest streak going.
Jenkins, you saw the deep man waiting at the 5-yard line. The kick into the wind is a short one, taken by one of the blocking linemen. And that is number 78, Dean Hamill, rookie defensive lineman, getting a chance to carry the ball.
Hamill return the kickoff. Brought down by Ron Rizzo.
Now, if you would like to see the tough job that Stuart Anderson, 58, has, he's right here. He's going to be the buzzing linebacker that's going to drop off to cover a back out in the flat, but Payton goes up the field. Just watch 58. He goes back. He's watching Payton. Figures he'll have the angle on Walter Payton, but McMahon gets out of it, and here's 58 trying to keep up with Walter Payton. Everybody else who comes has dropped off of their man, and it's a tough job for a linebacker.
Back line the blitz. Marshall on Theismann. Loose ball, but play is dead. And Theismann took his toughest hit of the game on a straight, clean shot from Wilbur Marshall, the second-year linebacker from Florida.
Wilbur Marshall's number 58. You'll see him coming to the bottom of your screen. He gets through, nobody to block. Jacoby didn't know who to block, whether to block Dent or Wilbur Marshall, and Wilbur Marshall got through slick and clean on Joe Theismann. So they're confusing there was nobody coming from the backfield to help out, and there were just too many men coming in.
Keith Griffin comes in on 2nd and 17.
Here they come again.
Deep sideline, and again, Theismann just flung that up there against the blitz, intended for Calvin Muhammad. The third time they've tried to do that in that circumstance, and it has failed all 3 times. Let's go to Brent Musburger in New York for an update.
Tim, the Battle of Texas has dramatically turned around. First, it was Moon of Houston going 57 yards to Drew Hill. That drew them to within 10-7. Then they block a punt, and they kick a field goal, and they have now tied the Cowboys. Let's go back to Tim Ryan.
Dallas and Houston, the Texas shootout on CBS this afternoon. Third down here in Chicago. Washington is 4 of 11 on third downs, and they've got a 3rd and long on their own end. Theismann gets some time, and he's got Didier. Didier with a first down over midfield. Theismann standing in there. Didier getting clear, and the ball on the money for a 26-yard gain. Fensick made the tackle.
Good play by Theismann because only a 4-man rush. You see the linebackers dropping off 50 Singletary, and Theismann held his ground and then fired. That ball got there in a second as Didier found the open spot and made a nice play. Washington got out of a hole. Good play by Joe Theismann. He spotted Didier.
First down, Washington from the Bears' 49-yard line. 4:04 counting down 3rd period. Slot formation left. Rogers again with that big hole off right tackle, picks up close to 9 yards. Wilbur Marshall and Gary Fensick combine on the stop. And that has been the bread and butter play for Rogers today. Out the right side behind Mark Ney. Johnny, is that the one where they're pulling those backside linemen around again?
You bet, and it's Rogers who's doing the running. We haven't seen John Riggins all that much the past couple of quarters of this football game.
Rogers had 71 yards in the first half, including a couple of good long gainers. So, as Joe Gibbs told us, he'd go with a hot hand. William Perry is in defensively now, and Cliff Trick at linebacker. Intended and complete to Gary Clark. Number 84 with Frazier on the coverage. A first down and goal to go for the Redskins at the 8-yard line of the Bears.
What a super play by Clark, but mainly by Theismann, too, because they were all over him. He has Les Frazier. Clark goes the inside and then to the outside. Frazier 21 on the coverage, and it was Clark who looked back and spotted the ball first, but Theismann really took a pounding, and they were really surrounding him when he threw the ball. 2 excellent plays in a row by Joe Theismann, and of course Clark was the receiver with a good catch.
With 4 catches in the game, one of the reasons Charlie Brown was sent to Atlanta after his contract dispute. This is Rogers. Rogers trying to dive back to the 5-yard line. Tripped up by Fensick. And will wind up with a gain of maybe 2 on the play. It'll be 2nd and goal, and the ball now resting at the 6-yard line of Chicago. A score on this drive by the Redskins could make the rest of this half interesting.
This is a case where they pulled the offside line again, but this time you'll notice that Rogers went outside the trap block and got in trouble instead of following his lineman.
So it is 2nd and goal. Theismann intended for Monk, and a big defensive play by Gary Fensick of the Bears, number 45. Monk was open, but Fensick timing his move on the ball perfectly.
Okay, let me try and show you that play again where they pull the lineman right there and pull him this way, and they turn up that play that has been successful, but Rogers went outside of it, and the lineman pulled up, and he got into trouble by going too wide. Now you'll see Grimm and Jacoby. Now they turn up the field. Didier's blocking, 86 is blocking, and Rogers goes outside and right into Otis Wilson, and that messes up the play.
Well done, Johnny. Meanwhile, 3rd and goal here for the Redskins. Theismann. He's got a man open, Didier, and he's knocked out of bounds by Wilbur Marshall at the 1-yard line. So it'll be 4th and goal. Clint Didier. Theismann on the money to Didier again, but Marshall reacting.
Okay, they're in a crucial situation as Theismann rolls out this way and hits Didier. Can't quite get into the end zone. And we're now down to a crucial part of the game for the Washington Redskins because they have got to go for it. Knocked out of bounds by Wilbur Marshall. 4th and 1.5.
Otis Wansley comes in to join Riggins in the short yardage here, and an extra blocker, Anthony Jones. Twice before, the Bears have stopped them on 4th and short. Wansley is stacked up. Times the Chicago Bears have stopped the Redskins in that 4th and short, and that one the biggest of the day for the Redskins. They were at the 1-yard line trying to close this margin, but with 1:37 left, 3rd period, it remains 38-10. Tim Ryan and Johnny Morris, where we see the score 38-10, and the Redskins 2 out of 7 on 4th down and 0 for 3 today. The Bears start from their 1. McMahon in the end zone. Goes deep, and flags are everywhere. Incomplete pass intended for Willie Galt.
They're going to call Darrell Green for pass interference. Galt ran a hitch and goal, and Green was beaten on the play, and he grabbed him and knocked him off stride, or it would have been a touchdown pass.
Holding is the call, the defensive holding, and we'll get it officially from our referee, Bob Frederick, in a moment.
Well, something's...
Defensive holding, number 28. Your 1st and 10.
A first down pass. He figured Galt was going to go for the short hitch. Now watch 28 come and react to the hitch. He's going to go for that big hit, and he's going the wrong way. He takes a grab of Willie Galt to slow him off stride, so there was no chance for the completion. So Willie Galt and the Bears throwing on 1st down out of their own end zone.
Well, that moves him up to the 12-yard line, 1st down. Wide pro set. Give us to Suey. And the Redskins have a clean shot at him as he ran behind Thayer and Van Horn, and it was Hamill who's in now for Dave Butts at left defensive tackle, number 78, making the stop. He's a rookie from Tulsa, their 10th pick in the 1985 draft. We haven't had any word on Dave Butts in terms of an injury. We'll try and check that for you, but Hamill getting some time.
No, he got some time right there. He looked like Dave Butts there. He really jammed that play up.
Gain of a yard, 2nd and 9. Slot formation left for the Bears. McMahon, who has been Magic McMahon today, from the goal line. Lobs it up for McKinnon, a diving try, incomplete. A little bit long for Dennis McKinnon. Tried a one-handed in, couldn't do it. Right now, let's go to Brent Musburger at our studios in New York for an NFL update.
Tim, here's the touchdown that has the Giants ahead of the Eagles right now. And the rookie from Notre Dame, Mark Bavaro, his first score, and he just does hold the ball long enough. Zeke Mowatt, of course, was injured, so Bavaro's in there for the Giants. 10-3, back to Tim and Johnny.
Giants trying to get to 3-1 in the NFC East. Philadelphia at 1-2 after their win last week over the Skins. 3rd down and 9 here. The ball at the 8-yard line of the Chicago Bears. They'll go to the shotgun. McKinnon in the slot left. Marjoram, the 3rd wide receiver. McMahon takes it up the middle and is tackled from behind by Dexter Manley, number 72. And they'll spot it at the 16-yard line, and it looks like it's just slightly short.
Well, that was what you call an old-fashioned necktie tackle as McMahon took off, and it was Manley who...
Illegal motion on the offense.
Well, it won't matter anyway. Illegal motion charged against the Bears.
Well, if it's 4th down, they may refuse the penalty and force the Bears to punt rather than take the penalty. So that's what they're doing. They're going to ask for a measurement, and if it's 4th down, they figure the Bears wouldn't try and get 1st down from the 17-yard line.
There's Dave Butts on the Redskins bench, and again, we have not been informed of any injury to Butts, so it may be just that they're giving Dean Hamill some time.
How'd you like to pick Dave Butts as a free agent, huh?
Well, that was after a contract dispute with the Cardinals back a long time ago, and well, what an acquisition he turned out to be for the Redskins.
It's 4th down, so now it's up to the Redskins to say, hey, we refuse the penalty and take the chance that the Bears won't go for it on 4th down, or they could put the Bears way back on their goal line but be on 3rd down. So that's the decision that Joe Gibbs is, he wants a timeout. He wants to think about it a little while. Now there's the decline. He says decline. Did he call for timeout or not?
Well, maybe he's just trying to get his own team's attention. I don't think that he
illegal motion
would take the timeout.
Offense number 71, and it will be refused, and it'll be 4th down.
He's the sharp quarterback.
That's right. McMahon saw what...
Team timeout. It is their first one. Washington's, and they have 2 remaining.
McMahon spotted that signal, and whether it was intentional or not by Gibbs, I speculated he was just signaling his team to get them to declined the penalty. However, we have a timeout, and it's 38-10 Chicago. Somehow get things reversed. Remember, the Bears scored 31 points in 1 quarter the second period, so he's got to believe the Redskins can do the same, and they'll be getting the ball back.
Here's Joe says, give me a peek at that list. I want to find some new plays.
Ken Jenkins awaiting the punt from Maury Buford. Gibbs said all the right things before this game. He said the Bears are a great team. They're having a great year. Everything was great about them. And so far, the Bears are making him a profit. High punt caught up in the wind. Fair catch signaled. Jenkins comes down with it at the 45-yard line. A flag down upfield near the line of scrimmage. Good field position if it stays where it is in Bear territory.
The Bears went into a shift there and tried to pull Washington off sides, which would have given them a first down, but the Redskins were too smart. They didn't go for it.
Only a 30-yard punt by Buford. And the penalty is going to be against the Redskins. It looks like holding on the play.
Offensive holding on the kick return team. Post-possession foul. And it will be a first down and 10 after the 10-yard penalty.
Well, instead of being in Bears territory, they're now starting back at their own 44. It's been that kind of a day for the Redskins. And we see Dallas and Houston still tied at 10 in the 4th quarter to shoot 'em up offenses, only 10 points apiece. The Giants ahead of the Eagles 10-3 in the 4th. St. Louis doing a tattoo on Green Bay. And Kansas City likewise to Seattle. And the Lions going for their 3rd win of the season ahead of Tampa Bay. Minnesota leading Buffalo. And the pass is tipped away, intended for Monk. Mike Richardson got a hand on it. And Monk was open behind him, but up in the air went Richardson.
The Redskins had it played well that time. Had Monk caught that ball, it would have been an easy touchdown because the Bears came with the all-out blitz once again, and the pass was just deflected because Monk had gotten behind the defense. You'll see it right here. He could have turned up the field and gone all the way as Mike Richardson batted the ball away at the last second.
2nd and 10 Redskins from their own 44. Rogers the lone setback. Monk wide left. Monk sideliner again, and that pass off the mark from Theismann. Frazier on the coverage. Monk on the comeback, but the ball in front of him.
And the Redskins are taking the right approach, Tim. They're getting one-on-one out there. Monk on Frazier, and on the other side it's one-on-one as the Bears blitz, but they're not able to take advantage of it. Art Monk, who caught 106 passes last year, has 1 today.
And he had 7 last week against the Eagles. They just haven't been able to get the ball to him.
And most of them that they have gotten to him have been for short yardage.
Theismann is 15 of 26 now, 170 yards. 3rd down and 10. The blitz again, and he is buried. McMichael, number 76. 3rd sack of the afternoon by the Chicago Bears.
Number 76 puts a move on Ken Huff, 61, and goes right on through. He just did a little jab step left and jab step right, and he really did put a move on it. Well, there we go. Steve McMichael says he's number 1.
Must know where the cameras are.
Yeah. How do these guys concentrate on that kind of thing? How did you know where the cameras are?
All right, Steve. It started out as a matchup of the Texan McMichael and the guy from Arkansas, Thielman, but he's out in favor of Dick Huff, in favor of Ken Huff because of the injury. Next week on CBS Sports, San Francisco will be at Atlanta. NFC West matchup. Chicago will be in Tampa Bay. Detroit will be at Green Bay. And the Vikings will be in Los Angeles against the Rams. Check the local listings for the games and times in your area. Another full Sunday of important action in the NFL next week.
Do we have time for a telestrator on that last play? I would like to show a telestrator play. Okay, I want to show you the move by Steve McMichael, 76. And Huff, 61, is blocking on him. He fakes this way and comes through. Let's watch the move. One-on-one situation. There it goes, and he just deked him out, comes in for the sack. That's what they call action down in the pits, one-on-one.
So Washington will punt as we see Steve McMichael talking upstairs to the defensive staff. And it'll be Schrader again. And another low snap fielded well once more, and a good kick by Schrader. Ken Taylor at the 26-yard line for Chicago. And he is tackled at the 35 of the Bears. And it is Greg Williams, number 47, on the stop. At the end of the third quarter with the score, the Bears 38, Washington 10. We now pause for a word from your local station. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris, back alongside Lake Michigan at Soldier Field, where the Chicago Bears have just dominated Washington. If you joined us along the way, it is important to point out that the Redskins led this game 10-0. And we see at least one bare-chested fan out there on this gorgeous afternoon in Chicago. The Skins' 10-0 lead went into the early minutes of the second period. The Bears scored 31 unanswered points and have added another touchdown in the third, and they open the fourth in possession of a first down at their own 35. Walter Payton slides for about 3, tackled from behind by Tony Peters.
You know, one thing about this Washington loss, it's not as bad as it appears score-wise. There were a couple, 3 things that happened very quickly that kind of turned this game around. I know the Redskins are in trouble. They're going to be 1-3 going back to Washington where they're used to winning. But Joe Gibbs' teams have come out of it before. They're used to winning in Washington. It all started with George Allen back in '71. Remember that? God, he went 9-4. I've got it written down here. 11-3, 10-4, 10-4. The Washington fans have become used to winning. And so it'll be a little bit hot for the football team back there next week.
Second and a long 7 to Suey. Suey chased by Olkowitz. Short of the first down by about a yard. He got to the 44-yard line. Matt Suey, and there is Steve Fuller, the Bears backup quarterback, warming up on the sidelines, and he remembers the Redskins well because he went the distance in that playoff game last year with McMahon out with his kidney injury. Fuller was the game-winning quarterback.
I think Mike Ditka would like to get Steve Fuller in this football game because he was yanked when they brought McMahon in, and they talked about his confidence and all that kind of thing. He would like to get Fuller in here and have a little bit of success.
Fuller was the starter last week against Minnesota with McMahon hurt. McMahon, of course, well documented by now, came in to throw 3 touchdown passes for the win. Calvin Thomas for first down, has it, but a flag is down. Thomas got to the 49-yard line, and Neil Olkowitz made the tackle. Errol Green getting in on it. And the flag will be apparently against the Bears.
Offensive holding, number 63.
That is Jay Hilgenberg, the center.
And third down will be repeated.
Would you like to see what Walter Payton does when he's not carrying the ball? Here he is. Watch him collide with Malott, 57, right here. He blocks, aside from running for 13,000 yards. Collision. Here comes 34 and 57. Boom. And out of the play goes Malott.
The penalty brings up a 3rd and 11 against the Bears. They go to the shotgun. Moorhead, the tight end, in motion at the top of your screen. McMahon, and incomplete. Not on the money there. A flag down as it was intended for Marjoram. A flag down on the play on that side of the field. The rookie Barry Wilburn, number 45, had the coverage.
Offensive pass interference, number 82. The penalty will be declined.
So Marjoram charged with
fourth down.
Marjoram charged with pushing off Wilburn, and so it'll be 4th down as Washington wants the football, of course, and Buford comes on for the Bears.
That's one of the things that receivers will always argue about. When a defender comes up and jams him right in the face, he thinks that he should be able to push off. Well, the rules say you can't do that.
So Buford will stand at his 20, and Ken Jenkins awaiting it at the 23-yard line of the Redskins. punt with the win by Buford backs Jenkins to the 15. And now Jenkins finds a good hole and runs it up over the 35 to the 37-yard line. Good return by Ken Jenkins. Matt Suey making the tackle for Chicago. 12:43 remaining regulation time. Bears 38, Washington 10. Ball from their own 37, and we note on the scoreboard that Detroit now leads the winless Buccaneers 23-9 in the fourth period. The Lions trying to get to 3-1, and the Bucs looking for their first victory under Lehman Bennett. First down, Redskins. Theismann complete. Art Monk hit right at the 40-yard line by Leslie Frazier, by Richardson, pardon me, 27. Mike Richardson. It'll be 2nd and 7. Theismann's numbers for the day, but again, no big plays from the pass offense. And that's something that's been missing through the first 3 games of the season for the Redskins. Remember, of course, they were 1-2 last year and went on to a playoff spot with 11-5. Play action, and that pass, a bad one by Theismann, intended for Monk and bounced in front of him. Joe not happy with himself on that throw.
These teams have played each other since 1937. The Bears lead the series 19 games to 11 with 1 tie throughout the years. Mike Ditka now will be 19 of his last 26 regular season games the Bears have won. Of course, Joe Gibbs has a pretty good record, I'd say, in his few years with the Redskins after going 0-5, remember? The 42-18 in regular season play.
3rd down and 7, and Bears all over the place, and there's Richard Dent getting familiar with Joe Theismann again. But that was a little bit early.
We should have turned the music on for a little waltz or minuet.
Yeah. Tennessee waltz from Mr. Dent from Tennessee State.
Well, let's see if they were. Doesn't look like
start.
There was a false start.
Offense.
Ken Huff was called for the false start. Richard Dent, who led the NFC in sacks last year, with 17 and a half.
Down.
We haven't seen all that much from Dexter Manley today. He was 4th in the NFC in sacks last year.
Yeah, and he's the current leader coming into the game with 5.5. Phillips and Gale come into the Bears secondary on the 3rd down and 12. Theismann going deep for Monk. He's got 2 men on him, and he cannot bring it in. Richardson and Fensick, 27 and 45, were both on Art Monk, not giving him much of a chance to grab that one, and he nearly had it anyway.
There's number 81, Art Monk, down the field with Frazier, Richardson running right along with him, and Gary Fensick, 45, will come over, so it winds up with a double coverage, a little collision there, but Monk almost made a super grab. He was putting the ball away, but Fensick, 45, for the last second, kind of battered it away.
So Schrader will punt again. What a job this guy's been doing. That's not a great punt, but Bearcat signaled by Taylor, then had to make a diving catch on it at the 38-yard line. And so the Bears will have good field position, and that punting situation continues to hurt Washington. Johnny Morris back at Soldier Field in Chicago with a reminder that next week our college football action will feature Michigan State and Iowa in Big Ten action, both winners yesterday. And some of you will see Pac-10 action, Arizona State and UCLA, live at 2:30 Eastern Time, 11:30 Pacific here on CBS Sports. Steve Fuller has come in to replace Jim McMahon at quarterback, with the Bears holding a 38-10 lead. And Dennis Gentry on the handoff. The Redskins all over him. Gentry, on his first carry of the game, suffers about a 3-yard loss.
Good play by Darrell Grant that time as he jammed up Mark Bortz. There's Jim McMahon's stats: 13 of 19, 160 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, also a touchdown reception. Oh, he did. Was that a reception on the end there? Or I said INT, but that was
one interception.
Oh, he had 1 interception and 1 reception.
Yeah, he did something wrong today. He had a pass intercepted. He also made sure that Washington was charged with a timeout when Joe Gibbs signaled it in. Another typical day at the office for Magic McMahon. 2nd and 13. Play action, Fuller. Reitman, the tight end, makes the catch. On the stop, Tony Peters, number 23. Tim Reitman, the rookie from UCLA, has been in the USFL since the Bears drafted him in 1982. Opted to go to the new league, and now with the Bears and backing up Emery Moorhead. A flag down, and it looks like the good pass and catch will be brought back.
Interesting statistic here on Walter Payton, who is now out of the game. He had 7 carries today for 6 yards.
Offensive holding, number 57.
Tom Thayer. 7 carries for 6 yards. So the
Second down
Chicago
will be
Bears,
repeated.
Chicago Bears have won this football game without that much, at least on the rushing game, from Walter Payton. The Bears had decided to attack the one-on-one coverage that you get a lot from the Washington Redskins. They came out throwing, and that's usually against the trend. Usually a winning team has somebody that rushes for 100 yards or 50, or Payton does something big in the rushing game.
Tom Andrews has come in for Tom Thayer at right guard for the Bears. Andrews, number 60. Gentry in motion. Rolling is Fuller back the other way, intended for Marjoram, but Fuller had Olkowitz all over him, who had excellent pursuit from his middle linebacker spot, and Fuller had no chance to throw the ball back cross field. That's a long pass yardage-wise when you have to come all the way back to the other side. So they have been using Gentry and Calvin Thomas as we see Olkowitz, the Redskins tackle leader, go off. Suey and Payton out of the ball game, McMahon out of the ball game, and now rookie receiver number 81, James Manis, comes in. His first appearance, a rookie from TCU, Bears number 3 choice this year. And Brad Anderson, the second-year man from Arizona, also in at wide receiver number 86. So they've gone to the second team. Fuller is dropped by Dexter Manley. Dexter Manley, number 72, pulling in from the right side, and Charles Mann, his partner on the left side, getting in on it.
He comes at 71 as the left tackle, Andrew Frederick, and he's blocking on Manley, and Manley just goes right on to the outside of him and comes through and puts the hit on Steve Fuller with some help from Charles Mann,
who was injured on the play as it developed. They had quite a collision at the quarterback, and Mann a little slow to get up. Third-year man from Nevada, Reno. And apparently he's all right. So the sack drops the line of scrimmage back to the 18-yard line of the Bears.
Boy, they might have an all-time record for first down. What is it, about 30 yards? Something like that.
They started up at their own 39. They've gone backwards effectively here. Buford into punt. Jenkins awaiting it for the Skins. High, deep punt by Buford. Jenkins dropped the ball, and now will just cover it at the 35-yard line. So the Redskins will start from there. Reasonably good field position, but 9:32 remains in regulation time as we watch Buford come off. A 48-yard punt for Maury Buford. And the Redskins up against it, to say the very least. Bill Theismann try to get something going here with the remaining 9.5 minutes. Wide to the right comes Monk. Out to the left goes Gary Clark. This is Griffin, Keith Griffin, of the Griffin family of football players. Picks up about 3 as he's hit by Wilbur Marshall, number 58. Bears have Tyrone Keys, number 98, in the game on the front. Hampton, Keys, McMichael, and Dent, the front 4 for the Chicago Bears. Skins come out in the I formation. This is Griffin again. Keith Griffin, he's got a hole, runs hard, and has a first down at midfield. Griffin, the second-year man from Miami. Fensick and Richardson combined to stop him, but it's a first down. Redskins after the 11-yard pickup.
He's come on very well for the Redskins. Last year he had some problems with fumbles later in the season, but this year he's come on, and especially in third down situations, and has run very well. He's going to be a good football player for the Washington Redskins. He's kind of taken the role that Joe Washington had quite a bit.
Well, that's right. They let Washington go to Atlanta. And Griffin takes it outside with Fensick in pursuit, and Griffin another first down.
Well, they're moving right down the field via the run. It appeared that, hey, they're going to run the ball and let's get this football game over with, but they had a purpose in their meaning, or meaning in their purpose, or whatever way you want to say it. But they decided they just couldn't throw the ball all that much against those weird Chicago Bear defenses, and they're making the running game go. However, it's eating the clock. It's 8:14 left in the game now.
First down inside the 35-yard line of Chicago. Slot formation left for the Redskins. Play action. Theismann. It's batted down by Richard Dent. You know, I watched the Redskins work against Richard Dent in practice. One of their own players playing the part of Richard Dent. They spent quite a bit of time trying to block him. Well, he's done just about everything today. Tackle, sack, and knock down passes.
Okay, Dent is on the top of the screen right there, and you see Jacoby is blocking on him. They get a standoff, but Dent looks for the quarterback and sees he's going to throw that way and reaches up and bats the ball down. 95 on 66. They're just battling, and then he just jumps up, and he's so tall that it becomes an effective weapon.
2nd and 10. Theismann gets it off. Incomplete, intended for Monk. Again, pressure on the quarterback. A hurried throw. And the ball off the mark. 3rd and 10.
Well, you hit it on the head, Tim. The hurried throw caused him to throw just a little off, and Monk couldn't hang on to the ball, but he had one-on-one coverage. He could very likely have gone for a touchdown. So the Redskins haven't given up.
Monk is just dangerous all of the time, no matter where he is on the field. Acrobatic receiver, and then has that great speed once he's got the ball. Theismann 16 of 31, 173 yards.
Let's take a guess at how many players the Bears will rush this time, or if they drop everybody off. Watch the line, and you see all those backers go. No, just a straight rush.
Up the middle for Didier, and he's got the ball or not? No, it's an incomplete pass. The Bears say he had it, and we recovered the fumble, but I believe it's just going to be an incomplete.
The Bears with a normal pass rush, and Didier, who's caught some key passes for Washington today, breaks away, makes the grab. Let's see, what a super grab, and then down, loses the ball. But either way, the Redskins lose out on this, because if he fumbled, it would have been, if the ball got loose, it would have been Chicago's ball.
The flag down on the play is apparently against the Redskins.
So it's a moot point, right?
Yeah, it was in the backfield. Here's the call. Or not. Evidently not.
Must have been what they call an inadvertent flag.
So it's 4th down. And 23 penalties, 10 of them today for the Redskins, as they have hurt themselves in several ways, and the Bears have hurt them even more so. 4th down. Theismann away from Dent, gets the ball off, and it is complete. And he has, I believe, the first down yardage. We'll see where they spot the ball. Yes,
he does. Joe Warren shows some of his maneuverability here as he gets away from Steve McMichael. Then Tyrone Keys, 98, is bearing down on him, and Richard Dent, 95. He throws the ball and then takes a hit from both players, and Warren grabs the ball and is forced back, but I think he had gone far enough forward to get the first down. And Theismann was complaining about the hit after he released the ball. The defenders will say that they were in motion before he got rid of the ball. What do you think at home?
I'd say there was another stride by Dent that he may have been able to elude Theismann on that play. But the Redskins got the first down. Don Warren on first down for Monk, and a good grab by Monk with Frazier, practically a second jersey on him. Monk still made the catch, and now a flag down with some action at the line between Jacoby, I believe, or is it Grimm? Yes, Jacoby and Richard Dent having some words. Jacoby must be tired of looking at Richard Dent coming all day. That's what he gets paid for, of course, and it's been quite a battle between those two big men. Monk only got a couple of yards on the play, but he made a superb catch.
It looks like the penalty is going to go against Chicago.
Bob Frederick discussing it with the official on the sideline, and we'll see what transpires here. Dent has left the field in the meantime, and Bob Frederick has not been able to get that mic on every time that there's been a penalty call. But it's evidently a personal foul penalty against Dent of the Bears, and so it's a first down for Washington at the 10-yard line. Tyrone Keys has come in to replace Dent. The crowd aroused here now, and a perfect strike to Monk to the 5-yard line. And it'll be second and goal from the 5 with Reggie Phillips, the rookie, forcing him out, number 48.
There's Gary Clark in the end zone. Says, throw me the ball, throw me the ball. But that happens a lot of times. The quarterback's motion, and he looks a little bit more open than he was. The defenders sometimes react to where the quarterback is throwing the ball, but they'll probably try Clark again with that quick post down there. They've got to get in the end zone here. They can't waste time getting in.
Second and goal, 6:28 to play in the fourth quarter. Theismann with a tight end. You're intercepted by Richardson. Theismann, the only man that can get him. Theismann got a piece of him, and he stopped at the 1-yard line. Interception return to the Washington 1 by Mike Richardson, and Theismann at least slowed him up. Keith Griffin able to keep him out of the end zone, but they're at the 1.
And into the kind of the double coverage out in the flat. That's always a dangerous pass. As you can see, Richardson comes in. The ball hit Didier, but it just juggled up in the air, and Richardson took off, and then it was a race between Joe Theismann and Richardson. And Richardson put a good move, but Theismann did slow him down and force him to cut back so that there was pursuit from the backside. You know, most quarterbacks should be able to get by him very easily, but Theismann at least forced him back, did not give up. He gave it a shot and at least delayed him enough so that he didn't get the touchdown, but it looks like it's going to be a moot point. The Bears are on the half-a-yard line.
Fuller, the quarterback, trying for the sneak, and he is stacked up by the Skins defense. They're not prepared to fold up under these circumstances, and there is a tired Joe Theismann. That's the most running he's had to do today, chasing down Richardson. The ball was in Didier's hands. He couldn't hold on with the two guys defending on him, and Theismann, to his credit, didn't just let him waltz down the sideline on his own. He went after him. He is an angry young man.
His statistics aren't all that bad, but just think he has to go back in this game again, and the Bears are going to be down 45, or I should say the Redskins are going to be down 45-10.
Pitch out for Gentry. Gentry, touchdown. Dennis Gentry, Walter Payton's backup, gets the score.
And here it goes. A pitch out this time. The Bears have used very few pitches. Good blocking. Matt Suey with a key block to spring Gentry up to the inside. First touchdown of the season for Dennis Gentry.
We have your basic route. And the refrigerator has come on here to join the special unit here, blocking for the point after try. Number 72, William Anthony Perry. And Butler's point after is good. So with 5:27, somewhat painful minute for the Washington Redskins. The Bears lead it 45-10. Happy Bears bench, as you might expect. 5:27 remaining regulation time. 45-10 rout of the Redskins by the Bears. And Don't forget the other action next week on CBS. We'll have a full lineup of excitement for you. These Bears will be at Tampa Bay.
All I have to say is that the Chicago Bears better beware of the Washington Redskins the next time they play.
Jenkins, a yard deep. Pretty good return out over the 20 to the 22, where he's dumped by Sean Gale. Now let's go to Brent Musburger in New York for a look at the Giants-Eagles game.
Tim, it looks like the Giants and the Eagles could be headed to overtime because of this bad judgment by Phil Simms. Instead of taking the safety, he forced it out of the end zone. Herman Edwards with the interception. They're now tied at 10. On the post-game show, we'll update it if they get into overtime. Back to Tim and Johnny.
Key battle in the NFC East. And here in Chicago, the Redskins, who have an interest in those standings, of course, find themselves deep in the hole against the Chicago Bears. This is Griffin. Keith Griffin gets about a yard. Cliff Thrift and Mike Singletary on the tackle. Flag down again.
And the Chicago Bears may have had too many Finn on the field. Right now they have 12.
And nobody's coming off yet either.
Well, they want to go 2 for 2. Mike Hartenstein, 73, comes off the field.
Little problem with the microphone on referee Bob Frederick. That has been a problem here through the fourth period. But we are going to assume that the call was 12 men, an extra man on the field. Henry Wachter is now in number 70 defensively for the Bears as they're getting their special teams players some work with the defense and offense.
And they're still playing that 46 defense, the Bears.
First down and 5. Griffin again gets away from Perry and then is met by several shirts. The ball comes loose, but, well, I'm not sure it did. Griffin just kind of popped out of there, and I guess he still had the ball. Great effort by Keith Griffin. They give him all of that or not, we'll see. Perry and Singletary finally stopped him. Elsewhere, the Vikings and Buffalo, that's been quite a seesaw battle, 27-20 into the fourth.
And St. Louis leads Green Bay 36-21 in the fourth quarter, a high-scoring affair. Look what Detroit's doing to Tampa Bay, 30-9 fourth quarter. The Raiders 28-20 over New England fourth quarter.
Griffin got the first down, so it's first down from the 35-yard line for the Redskins. Ken Jenkins, number 31, gets his first carry of the game, and Singletary on the hit. Two yards on the pickup for Jenkins, 2nd and 8. The Bears are +6 in turnovers, and that has resulted in 30 points. And as we commented coming into the game, the Redskins were -10. It's such a key thing in the NFL. The pass complete to Gary Clark. I like what I've seen of this young man today from James Madison in the USFL. Gary Clark, number 84. First down again for the Redskins. Ken Taylor, rookie, now playing out on the corner, made the tackle for the Chicago Bears, forcing him out.
We haven't seen all that much of Calvin Muhammad either, and Clark's getting more and more time. We may see a trend developing.
Most of the pass is going to Muhammad today with those deep sidelines off the blitzes of the Bears, and weren't able to hit them. Jenkins breaks a tackle, and Jenkins breaks loose. Ken Jenkins inside the 15-yard line. What an effort by Jenkins. Gary Fensick finally pulls him down with help from Leslie Frazier. Here's the return man from Bucknell, acquired on waivers from the Detroit Lions. Gets himself a nice run here.
And what a job he does. 23, Sean Gale will come in and hit him head on, and he busts the tackle and then takes off up down the field as the Redskins may be able to get a touchdown before the game is over. Good run here. Good determined running as the Redskins showing some real life. I know it's late, but we'd like to end up on a good note if possible.
They're at the 15 of the Bears. 3:01 to play. Monk in motion. Swing it out for Griffin. He's got one blocker in front of him. Nice move inside by Griffin. He'll score, but a flag is down. Keith Griffin. A flag down back near the line of scrimmage.
It's going to be holding against Washington, I believe.
Tough break for the Redskins in a game like this. And especially for Keith Griffin, he made a superb play.
Offensive holding, number 61.
Ken Huff.
The charge against Ken Huff. And remember, he lost his starting job today to R.C. Thielman, who came over from Atlanta in the deal for Charlie Brown. But Thielman got hurt the first period, and Huff has played since.
Okay, the screen kind of set up nicely. There's 61. There's Ken Huff. 61, he comes out in front of Griffin along with Mark May. Now, there's 61 blocking on Rivera. Right there, he gets a hold of him right behind the first down marker. He's got a hold of him. Looks like he's got a hold of him. It's tough to tell, but...
So they're back at the 25-yard line. First down. Theismann gets some time. Off to Griffin, and he was buried by big Tyrone Keys. Gain of 4 yards.
Boy, give Griffin some credit for catching the ball. You had 6'7", 290 pounds of romping, stomping dynamite coming right at you, and he caught that football. Nice going, Ken.
Griffin, the 9th choice last year. We see Detroit has defeated Tampa 30-9, so the Buccaneers are 0-4. Detroit goes to 3-1 in the NFC Central. Second down and 15 from the 20-yard line of the Bears. Intended and intercepted by Taylor in the end zone. Intended for Warren, I believe. But again, miscommunication by the Redskins. A problem from the beginning of this early season. And Ken Taylor, the rookie from Oregon State, comes up with the interception in the end zone.
Well, what a frustrating day for Joe Theismann. He's had some great days, but today things have not gone the way for the Washington Redskins. It's regrouped for next week.
We're under the 2-minute mark left in the game. Tim Ryan with Johnny Morris back at Soldier Field. A disconsolate Joe Theismann on the Washington bench, and 9 interceptions so far, 2 of them today, 21 of 39, 209 yards. But none of them for scores. The only Washington touchdown came on their opening series with an impressive drive, ended with a run by John Wiggins. They look like the old Redskins. It's been all Bears since. Mike Tomczak is now the quarterback for the Bears. They're down to number 3, giving the young Ohio State star some work. And Thomas Sanders, the rookie from Texas A&M, is the ball carrier, number 20, picking up about 4 yards. Tomczak signed as a free agent, a local boy here in the Chicago area from Calumet City, Illinois. Second leading passer in Ohio State history, and really a surprise to make this Chicago team, and not too many teams keeping 3 quarterbacks, so I guess that speaks as to how Mike Ditka feels about Tomczak. 6'1", 195-pounder. Second down and 6. Thomas in motion. This is Sanders again, a big hole for Sanders. And Sanders over midfield into the 47-yard line before Kaufman stopped him for the Skins. A 28-yard run by the rookie Sanders, who looked good in preseason for Chicago.
This is the young man that the Bears feel could be the heir apparent for Walter Payton when he decides to retire. A nice little draw play, great fake by Tomczak, and Sanders just goes down the field and shows some little niftiness with those quick feet. Almost stumbled there, but he can run. He can run the football. His problem has been that he has been a fumbler. He has had a tendency to fumble so far in his young career.
Vernon Dean left limping for the Redskins. And meanwhile, the Bears have brought in Tom Andrews for Mark Bortz, who seemed to be favoring his hands when he came off. Sanders picks up about 3 yards to the 45-yard line. Tom Beasley, number 67 in the game, made the stop, and we have 15 seconds, and winding down, that's going to be it. The Bears will not bother with the final play, and they have moved to 4-0, and Joe Gibbs goes back to Washington knowing what awaits the Redskins there, as they are off to a most disappointing 1-3 start. And So the Chicago Bears, with a rather awesome display, spotting Washington 10 points, roll up a 45-10 victory. And these are the gentlemen in charge of making things happen for you viewers today. Our executive producer, Terry O'Neill. Senior producer, Charles Milton III. And here at the site, our producer has been David Michaels, and our director, Peter Bleckner, and associate producer, Alan Brum. Field technical manager, Artie Tin. We knew we were in the big leagues with Artie Tin today and his outstanding technical staff. We thank all of those gentlemen for bringing you the pictures and the replays and all of the technical wherewithal that make the NFL the exciting attraction it is on CBS Sports. So the Chicago Bears move to 4-0. They